bitch.
I don't think I said a word.
Just having fun.
Good morning, guys.
See, there you go. He was pushing. It was his big time. Good morning, Gerald.
There's only one way to wake up in the morning.
How the heck are you?
Yep, that's it. Miller.
Really upset that my daughter will not read one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish on Twitch because I needed content. That's what we've come to.
And Moulton.
Well, we need to explain to her the pilot program, and we need 25 hours of programming a week. So you need to deliver your 12 minutes a day, 5 times a week, because that's an hour, honey.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham hotline. Goldberg-law.com.
Yes! Oh, I like
It's up to you now. It's up to you.
I like
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday, the 16th of June. Thanks so much for being with us on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, where we stream this and every show on the station at boxsportsfm.com. We're broadcasting live once again on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. They are free. Sign up for them. You get to watch the show. The show is an interactive experience on our YouTube and Twitch TV channels.
An interactive experience. That is, I mean, that sounds like you met with a consultant yesterday. I don't think you went to the doctor. I think you talked to a consultant.
I definitely did not meet with a consultant, although you could argue, all right, that meeting with the doctor is just meeting with a high-level consultant, one that you listen to far more than you listen to a consultant. And you can always chime into the show and make it an even more interactive experience on the Williams & Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line 479-5551, 479-5551. Mark, how are you this morning?
I am much better than I was yesterday, David. A day of rest served me well.
Well, you announced at 9:01 you were taking a nap yesterday.
I fell asleep by 9:20. Put on the late last week with John Oliver. Usually there's a one long segment that gets a little boring, and I'll nod off for about 10 minutes, and I got that one in, and it was great. That started my day out the right way.
Okay. All right. So little bourbon hangover on yesterday, and then a little nap, and the day was complete.
And you know what I figured out, David? It wasn't the bourbon. It was that late in the night we started making these drinks called a bourbon smash.
Right.
And it was the sugar. It was the sugar, not the bourbon,
Really?
David.
Really?
It was the sugar.
That's your story, and
Yep.
you're sticking to it, huh?
Yep.
It was the sugar.
The sugar.
Uh-huh. Yep. Well, good luck. Good luck with that one. Hell of a sports day yesterday.
Wow.
I mean, for no games being played, there sure is a whole heck of a lot going on in the sports world.
Let me give you a little perspective about just how much. David and I usually do not communicate until he says, how the heck are you? Perhaps a hello, but not always.
Right.
One may have the headsets on, one may not. And I made a point to get David's attention at 5:55 for big show prep.
Right.
I'm like, David, a lot happened. How do we want to dissect this thing? I mean, a lot went on yesterday. And
We had 5 full minutes.
of discussion, of actual
Before the
discussion.
show.
Yeah, that's
Right.
that's big for this. I mean, and it is June after all.
Yes, it is mid-June. The NBA and NHL finals should be wrapping up. This should be Tuesday of U.S. Open Golf Week. It's going to be a different Father's Day for many a male sports fan in this country.
Well, you got that right. The wife asked me for the first time yesterday, so what do you want to do Sunday? I said, I don't really know. The U.S. Open isn't on. I'm confused. Mostly I want to be left alone, but I want to be left alone to watch the U.S. Open, and I can't.
Right. So maybe a NASCAR race?
Well, don't we have the
Golf?
We got golf. It's just
Right.
not the Open.
Golf at Hilton Head there. and a NASCAR race.
Right.
I guess you could pop in your chair and do it that way.
Well, they're Talladega this weekend too, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
So from a race standpoint, if that's your thing, this is at least one where they go really fast and crash into one another.
Yes. Late. There is a big wreck in the final 20 laps, at least one. Absolutely. So you've got that to look forward to. But 479-5551, 479-5551. Many places that we can start. I'd like to start in Stillwater, Oklahoma.
Would you?
I know it's the baseball hour, and trust me, we will get to that in the starting five, and maybe even sooner. But I'd like to start in Stillwater, Oklahoma.
Okay, I'm in.
For those that were unaware, mid-afternoon yesterday, the star running back for the Oklahoma State Cowboys, and is it Chuba or Chuba?
Good.
It's only one B. It's C-H-U-B-A.
C. Hubbard.
I'm going to go with Chuba. Chuba Hubbard, who was the nation's leading rusher a year ago. A picture emerged yesterday of Mike Gundy, who's been the football coach at Oklahoma State for 15 years. Many of you know of Mike, A, the mullet, B, the press conference, come after me, I'm a man, I'm 40. Well, Mike Gundy's now in his early 50s, and he's been in Stillwater for 15 years. And, Mike goes to his own drummer.
Mike has battled with administration. He's battled with T. Boone Pickens when he was alive, who was the super booster that has put Oklahoma State sports basically on the map with his pocketbook.
And Mike has leveraged others coming after him to the point now where Mike makes close to $5 million a year. Now, for a guy who's 2-13 all time against Oklahoma, to say that Mike Gundy's overpaid would be an understatement. But hey, he's playing the system perfectly. He's making a ton of money. And until proven otherwise, he's got a lot of job security. Well, that was till about 2:46 in the afternoon yesterday, in which his star running back called him out because he was seen in recently fishing, in which he took a picture, and he was wearing an OAN shirt. And I'm guessing that most of you are unaware of OAN. It is an alternative news network.
Yeah, and it's not on your cable, in which we're in the high 80s percentile of cable penetration in this market. Most everybody uses Comcast.
And when I say alternative, it's alternative to the right. They are to the right of Fox.
Way to the right of Fox, as a matter of fact.
Yes, they are.
They would make Fox seem what their motto is, fair and balanced.
And so it brings about a twofold discussion. You can look at this one of two ways. Do fans give a rat's you-know-what the political leanings are of their coach? I would argue no. But
in the middle of the country, David, I would argue no, unless they leaned left. Look how we vote in the middle of the country.
I think if you win, they don't care. I mean,
granted, we're talking about Oklahoma State, so I can't factor the winning part into it.
Well, I mean, he's
I'm
outside Oklahoma,
fun.
Right?
I'm having fun.
That's why he's got the job. I know, funny, little attempted humor there. Did jab and then clench, jab and then clench. I get it. So that would be my argument, that fans don't give a rat's you-know-what. They care about winning. They'll put up with, they could be as right-leaning as possible, and their coach could be as left-leaning as possible. If the coach wins, they're all for it. All right, coach starts losing, they're like, get me somebody else. That's my thought on the matter. That's where fans come in. So I could see where fans look at the player going after his head coach. He called him out. The player said, and I quote, "I will not stand for this. This is completely insensitive to everything going on in society, and it's unacceptable." In part because if you watch OAN, they believe Black Lives Matter is a hoax. All right. They're very anti everything that's going on in this country over the last 3 weeks. And they don't believe that it's a problem. So you could see where a young black athlete would see his coach in an OAN shirt and would go, wow, I find this offensive. Now it begs the question, should it matter?
To whom?
To the athlete. Should it matter? Does it matter what your coach's political leanings are?
Does it matter what your coach's political leanings are? No. But a network that promotes conspiracy theories is not a political network. It's a propaganda network. Fox is a political network. You want to watch Fox all day and you think everything that they say is 100% the truth, that's your prerogative. When you start, and I tell the same person, if you're listening to MSNBC all day and think that that's 100% the truth, well, that's your prerogative. I don't think it's the smartest way to watch television, but do what you want to do. But when you start getting past that, when you're, what is it, Breitbart and OAN or whatever the far left-leaning ones are, then you are maybe a little out of touch with who the kids you coach are. And at the end of the day, David, you have to recruit these kids. So I guess it does matter because ultimately your reputation as a person is going to be put through that with, it's not an NFL coach. It doesn't matter. David, largely in the NFL doesn't matter. And in college, I don't think it matters from what your standpoint's exactly right. The fans don't care.
No, they care about winning, period. They don't care. They don't even want to know. All right.
But Hubbard, this young man, go look through his Twitter page. This isn't the first time that he spoke about social issues. He's been very active over the course of the last, 6 weeks, 5 weeks. And before that, this is obviously a pretty smart kid. He's up on what's going on in the world. And it bothers him.
Bothers him a lot. He's their best player. And it was considered a coup that he decided to come back. He could have easily gone into the draft and likely would have been a guy taken in the second day of the draft. Well, an interesting thing happened after Hubbard said, I'm not going to stand for this. This is unacceptable. The offensive line as a group sent out a tweet that said, we stand for Hubbard. Other players were like, we stand for Hubbard. And all of a sudden on social media over the course of 2 or 3 hours, a bit of an insurrection was taking place. So much so that the athletic director at Oklahoma State and the president of Oklahoma State University both ended up releasing statements on Twitter. One of them released a statement basically saying the last few hours has been eye-opening and disturbing. And what was being implied on Twitter was that basically this has a little more to do with just him wearing the OAN shirt in that picture. That the players were alluding to, it hasn't been a bucket of fun to be a football player under Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, if you know what I mean. That we've been putting up with Coach for a long time because we have to, but we don't necessarily like it. That's what was being implied. There also was great irony in this story. And I don't know how many of you are aware. Mike Gundy once had a carpenter fired at his house. All right, needed some work done, had a crew over, and the foreman on the crew was walking around one day with an Oklahoma baseball shirt on. I mean, we are in Oklahoma. You either root for Oklahoma or Oklahoma State. You have no idea if he knew whose house he was at or what have you. But anyway, he's walking around with an Oklahoma baseball shirt. Gundy fired the crew. Called up and said, I'm done. I'm going to hire somebody else. So the irony of the T-shirt karma, and that story obviously got around. So the irony of the T-shirt karma all these years later, coming back to haunt Mike Gundy, even for a Monday afternoon, was very rich from an irony standpoint. But 7 o'clock or so last night, Stillwater time, Gundy and Hubbard ended up standing before a group of media 6 feet apart and just kind of talking things out to some degree. Hubbard said, I probably shouldn't have gone public. Should have kept it in-house, but I don't regret anything that I said. And Gundy basically said, we'll talk this out. We'll get through this. It'll be okay.
And I think, I could be wrong, David. I would think the majority of our audience is going to be on Gundy's side, not because of the shirt, but because most of our audience is, around our age. We come from a different style of coaches. We come from when Bobby Knights were regular in the high school ranks, not the college ranks, David, in the high school ranks. We've all been screamed at by several coaches if we played sports. Mm-hmm. And you were one that hated it. We've talked about this. You did not like it at all. It never bothered me. I was one that, shocking to a lot of people, probably worked on me.
Didn't work on me.
And I know it doesn't with a lot of people. And more so now. We have whether you want to call them soft, different, whatever you want to say, the younger athlete has been raised a different way than we were raised. Just look at your kids. And they don't like the yelling, bullying style. By and large, let's just say if it worked for 70% of us, or even if it was 50-50, it's not that way anymore. And I think coaches and fan bases are in for a very unusual fall because the power that the player has right now has never been this high. Ever.
And I think that a few people today are asking the question now, should it be? Did Hubbard take this as far as it can go? Did he take it too far? All right. I think it's a legitimate question. Should it matter? Does it matter going forward? And I do think you can argue this. As you talked about, Mark, OAN is an alternative news network, and it is to the right. It is to the far right. And as you mentioned, they've even espoused some conspiracy theories and what have you. I mean, the mainstream media does not look at it as a legitimate news source. And they are very anti everything that's gone on in this country in the last 3 weeks. And so to the young black athlete, if your coach is a fan, and Mike Gundy publicly 2 months ago talked about what a great news network it was. He likes the fact that he just gets the news. There's no opinion. It's just the news.
Right. And this is a news network that doesn't believe the coronavirus is a real thing.
And Black Lives Matter is a hoax. And so should that matter to the players? Should it matter? And I do think you can certainly argue, hey, no, suck it up and deal. He's a coach, just play hard on Saturdays. But you could also, if your coach believes that, could you then conclude he doesn't give a rat's what about me?
Let me put this in just sheer football terms, David. If that kid right now, Hubbard, wanted to transfer immediately because he was fearful of his coach being a racist, how would they not let him go when Justin Fields went to Ohio State and the kid yelled something out of stands and they threw him out of the school?
Well, there's no doubt.
That's the part.
There was talk yesterday, what if Hubbard just decided, you know what, I'm going to leave Ohio State and I'm going to declare
Oklahoma State
now for the NFL. I'm sorry, Oklahoma State. I'm going to leave right now. And you know what? I want to play on Sundays. And basically, would they have a supplemental draft for him? I mean, there was that talk going around yesterday afternoon. I mean, would teams spend a second, third round pick in the supplemental draft for this kid?
And I think they would.
Yeah, I do too. I certainly think somebody would have spent a third round pick. But you're right, Mark. I mean, if Justin Fields was able to transfer from Georgia because he called the environment on campus racially hostile, then you got to think that Hubbard would be able to petition the NCAA and be able to leave and go to any school that he wanted by today. All right. And all he'd have to do is show a clip of OAN and show the picture of his coach. All right, with the OAN shirt, and then the quote attributed to Mike Gundy 2 months ago talking about the network and say, if you think Justin Fields thought it was racially hostile in Athens, try playing for this guy. And you're right. He would have
I mean, that's kind of where I've put it. And I know we're going to figure out a poll question here. And our poll question is going to be something to do with this. And I'm guessing more people are going to take Gundy's side than Hubbard's. That's my guess.
And if you can, because once again, there's two focus groups here, if you will. There's the fans, there's us, but then there's the players. All right. And remember, this was a players' revolt. This was the players saying, can't play for a coach who expounds these views. You could extrapolate that out however you want to. But it's basically them saying, listen, if you watch this network and you believe in what they're saying, then you don't believe in us at all. You just don't. So I don't know if I can play for you. And is that legitimate? Is that, if that was your kid, you may go, oh my goodness. But if your kid looked you in the eye and said that, would that change your tune? So we'll come up with a poll question along those lines. But that was the story it was about a 5-hour story yesterday. And I'll tell you, these college football columnists, man, are they getting material these days?
Right, because what's happened,
boy.
The college athlete is allowed to speak its mind. Iowa has had a social media ban in place for their athletes forever. Not anymore.
Nope.
Florida State, we talked about their troubles last week, and I am super excited. Marvin Wilson, who is a preseason All-American and who was at the front of taking on Coach Norvell when he said he talked to everybody, and Wilson's like, no, you didn't.
No.
You didn't talk to any of us. You sent out an email. He'll join us on the show today at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's an All-American athlete. These guys did not have a platform a year ago. Not like this.
Hell, they didn't have a platform a month ago.
I gotcha. I mean, this is exciting to me. I don't know how it's going to go, but I'm excited to see how this works out. It's going to make some people really uncomfortable, and that's okay. But Marvin Wilson joins us today, 8 o'clock. Pat Kerwin, 8:25. Between now and then, we'll talk a little Oklahoma State Cowboy football, a little baseball, maybe even a little NHL and a little NBA, because every damn sport out there had news yesterday.
And the coronavirus said, hey, don't
Zeke,
forget about me.
Zeke, I'm the coronavirus. Coronavirus, Zeke. Introduce yourselves to one another.
Oprah, Uma, Oprah. Miller and Moulton. 23 minutes past the hour. The starting five is next. Thanks so much for being with us on this Tuesday morning on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Calling your quarantine. And we move now to the couch where this match is set to take place. The first spoonful of ice cream shoveled in, maybe a little too fast. We could have a brain freeze situation here.
Cannot fill the void of baseball.
And after making quick work of the dishes, she turns to, oh, wait.
We'll get back to the ballpark
The cat was settled by her feet.
eventually.
Look out below, she's going down.
A message of hope from Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Whether you stop by a locally owned Napa Auto Parts, Napa Auto Care, or visit Napa online, if you need help with your ride, you can count on Napa Know-How.
Cathedral Roofing Innovations. Now, Hurricane Irma was a long time ago, but believe it or not, problems with tile roofs, they continue to occur as a result. Now, many homeowners are just now feeling the effects of the hidden damage that occurred to their tile roof. Now, whether it's new leaks, cracked, unsecured tiles, these roofs are living on borrowed time. Now, tile roofs, by nature of their design, are susceptible to lift and powerful storms like hurricanes. When this occurs, your tile underlayment can be compromised, but you would not realize it until possibly years later. Now, with Cathedral Roofing Innovations, you get a great roofing company to inspect your roof for any damage, and just because you don't have leaks doesn't mean you don't have issues. Just go to cathedralroofingnaples.com. They are the tile experts in Naples, and they will start the inspection process right away. Just go to cathedralroofingnaples.com. cathedralroofingnaples.com.
License number CCC 1331928.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Dan Martineau here, owner of D.R. Martineau Roofing of Southwest Florida. I've been repairing and replacing roofs for 27 years. We operate with integrity, knowledge, and service. Google DRM Roofing or call 239-332-1441.
License number CCC 1326954.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Looking for a frameless shower door? My Shower Door has just opened their 8th Florida showroom, and it's conveniently located in Cape Coral. With more than 75,000 frameless shower doors installed, no one has more experience and 5-star reviews than My Shower Door. We've been named #1 by readers of the News Press and Naples News for 17 consecutive years and have just been named as Lee County's Manufacturer of the Year. Want to see more? Go to myshowerdor.com.
This message is sponsored by the Florida A&M University Medical Marijuana Education and Research Initiative, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
Where I'm from, marijuana is legal. Can I use it in Florida? Nah, it's illegal here, man. But I have PTSD.
Pro Bible has a headline. Golf experts are complaining that Bryson DeChambeau is just too jacked for current golf balls. The article starts out, for non-golf fans, Bryson DeChambeau is a pro golfer who is currently transforming his body into a snowplow. That is literally the first.
10, maybe 50, 100 times a day.
He's put on 44 pounds.
Are you also thinking about, well, all the germs
in 3 years
placing in your eyes? No one wants to think about
wow.
that, so it might be a great time to consider LASIK. France Eye Care offering $1,000 off bilateral LASIK, a savings that make the procedure much more affordable. Dr. Jonathan France and his expert team of surgeons want to help you see your future in 2020 by providing you with better vision and a better quality of life. But what if you've been told you're not a candidate for LASIK? Call France Eye Care anyway, because there are other procedures available that will help you see clearly without the use of glasses or contact lenses. Call now, schedule your free consultation, take advantage of $1,000 off bilateral LASIK special. Financing available.
France Eye Care.
Listen to the Dan Patrick Show at work.
Never boring, that's for sure.
Streaming 24/7 at foxsportsfm.com.
We are Fox.
Here we go. Now back to Miller and Moulton.
No.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
.28 past 6 o'clock on this Tuesday morning. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. Streaming at foxsportsfm.com. Broadcasting live on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. Sign up for them. They are free. And if you're an Amazon Prime customer, you get a Twitch TV channel. Make ours, Miller and Moulton, your channel of choice. 479-5551. That's how you can chime in on the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line. 479-5551. If you miss any part of the show, every hour has its own podcast thanks to Connecticut, Quality Water Systems of Southwest Florida. They took their May deals and they extended them and added a few more on top of it in June. So great savings at Connecticut, 908-2300. Without further ado, time now for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories that you need to know. This is Miller and Moulton's Starting Five. Fox Sports Radio at foxsportsfm.com.
Mark, you watched this show last night. Basically, it was the commissioners. Mike Greenberg on ESPN hosted a roundtable of, 5, 6 current commissioners in sport?
I didn't make it all the way to that. I actually caught Manfred, Bettman, and the MLS commissioner.
Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball, said on that show last night that he could not guarantee that a season would take place today.
When he did guarantee that a season would take place, 24 hours before that?
Well, late last week.
Okay.
Late last week.
Okay, so maybe 100
Wednesday.
hours.
About a week. Wednesday of last week, I think it was the draft. He guaranteed that a season would take place. 100% it would take place. And yesterday he said, not so fast, my friend. We can't guarantee a season because of the actions of the players and that basically Major League Baseball wants the Players Association, Mark, to sign a consent form that says that they will not file a grievance against the owners.
Right.
That when the owners implement this joke of a season, that the players will not file a grievance saying that they negotiated in bad faith and they went against the agreement we signed in March, which said we'd play as many games as we could, and the players will be looking for hundreds of millions of dollars in back salary. And many people feel the players will win, which they ultimately do, by the way. It takes about 5 years, lots of lawyers, but the players actually win these things. And so that's where we're at in the baseball owners and players dispute. The players are completely disgusted with the owners, and the owners just want to be sure, hey, you're not going to sue us, are you? I mean, because if so, then we're not going to have a season of any kind. We're going to cancel the season. If you're going to file a grievance, we're going to cancel the season. That's basically what the commissioner of baseball said last night. Mark, tell me if you agree with this tweet. Joe Posnanski sent this out late last night. It seems to come down to this. The owners, who've made billions and been given sweetheart leases and absurd tax breaks and the legal freedom to run a monopoly, are unwilling to give back even a little to their communities and support the very game that they represent. You got a problem with anything he said there?
No.
Seems about right.
I actually thought Andrew McCutchen may have done it better than anyone. And if you, I will retweet it if I can find it. But Andrew McCutchen yesterday put out a video describing the current situation. And he acted like he was talking with a child. And I believe he, as the owner, as the adult, was being the owners and the child was being the players. And he was in his bathroom. And I'm not joking. He sat there and he says, if you go potty, I'll give you juice. And then you hear water kind of hit the toilet, right? And then you hear a kid's voice goes, I want juice. And he goes, I'll give you water. He says, I want juice. No. How about water in this cup? Juice. How about water in a coffee mug? You like coffee mugs? Juice. No, I said you're getting water. I know I said juice, but now I'm saying water. And that's how the video ends. And that sums it up as well as anything.
So that's the state of Major League Baseball right now, where the owners are saying to the players, if you are going to file a grievance, then we're going to cancel the whole season. How about that? All righty then. In other commissioner news, Roger Goodell said yesterday that he has encouraged teams to sign Colin Kaepernick. Kyle Shanahan was given a new 6-year deal to remain the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. He had 3 years remaining on his current deal. John Lynch said, let's make it 6. COVID reared its ugly head yesterday in the sports world. Ezekiel Elliott, some members of the Houston Texans, was reported that a few Major League Baseball players and staffers have tested positive. Mike Malone, the head coach of the Denver Nuggets, came forward and said that he has had the coronavirus in the last 3 months, that he has recovered from it. So COVID raised its hand yesterday and said, I'm here. I'm back. If anybody thought I left. And remember, this goes on top of last week. A lot of college football players returning to campus and schools. I mean, Alabama's had 7 players test positive for the coronavirus. Now, Mark, you could say, okay, they put them on the shelf for 14 days. Then they no longer have it. They're young, 99+% of them deal with it quickly, very healthy. They come right back and they part of the herd mentality and they move forward.
That is the one thing I would like to see a little more reporting done on. Just with these, a 5-second news sidebar. If you're going to tell me that we have all these new cases, can you give me just a little bit more updates on the other things? Because they're just kind of telling us cases. Oh, Ezekiel Elliott has it. Well, does that mean in 2 weeks he's going to be fine? Because that's what I suspect. He was not very happy that his name got popped out, by the way, either.
Well, and the media is going, well, your agent was the one that confirmed it. And Zeke's going, yeah, but he's not the one who gave you the info. So how did you get my personal medical health records and info? You know, I believe it was Adam Schefter and ESPN who were successfully sued a couple of years ago because they released some personal health information. An athlete went after them and they were successful in getting some damages, saying, yeah, you can't report that stuff. I mean, if don't care. Sorry.
Well,
public figure, but you can't report that.
Exactly. I mean, trust me, if you don't think this is this is the school sidebar right now. This is going back to school. Some kid gets it. They can't legally tell all the parents that little Johnny had the coronavirus. One kids they'll figure it out when one kid's not in school for 2 weeks, but they can't send a note home saying,
right, it was so-and-so.
They can say someone tested positive, but they can't tell you who and in what class. So, yeah, I can see where Zeke would be a little hot.
Sidebar, the WNBA announced yesterday officially a 22-game season. It will take place in Bradenton at the IMG Academy, and the players will get 100% of their salaries. But it's worth noting now, the NBA, the WNBA, and the MLS, and before all of this, the UFC to a large degree, all right, all making the state of Florida their home to get through the coronavirus, which of course is going to bring more attention on the state of Florida and the coronavirus and the growing numbers and whether or not it's spiking again and et cetera, et cetera.
Right, because the one thing about this is from the – look, I'm not going to play what Seth does on the show, but the one thing that Seth's talked about and others have talked about, these teams are all going to be staying in hotels. The workers are all going to go home at night.
Right. Right.
I mean, just stop there. I don't need to go any further. We can all figure it out from there.
Right. That everyone is not, you know, that the bubble is not 100%.
No.
You can bubble the teams and the personnel all you want, but they are going to come in contact with people. You know, the people that work at Disney. All right. The people that work in their hotel rooms and their restaurants and what have you. They're coming and going freely. So back to Stillwater, Oklahoma, in case you missed what we were talking about last segment. Chuba Hubbard, their standout running back, called out their head coach Mike Gundy for him taking a picture in an OAN, which is an alternative far right-leaning news network. OAN is the name of the network. And Gundy seen in an OAN shirt. 2 months ago, he was very public in his love for the OAN network, and Hubbard said, I will not stand for this. This is completely insensitive to everything going on in society, and it is unacceptable. It led to about a 4-hour social media revolt against Mike Gundy by many of his players, led to Gundy meeting with Hubbard and meeting with the media early last night. But it certainly has gotten the attention of the athletic director and the president of the university. And we'll see and maybe hear a little bit more about what it's like to play for Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State, I have a feeling, in the coming weeks. But it does beg the question, should a coach's political leanings matter?
Well, they don't to the fans.
Right.
And to be
But should
frank,
it
David,
matter to the players?
To be frank, their leaning shouldn't. But when they're out wearing a billboard with an OAN shirt on it, I can see where a young black man would be bothered by that.
I could see where he'd be bothered also, but the question is, should it matter? I mean, listen, we're all bothered by people and things. And I know that technically being a college athlete is not a job, according to the NCAA.
Well, you know, it's funny you say that, David, because in Mike Gundy's statement, he referred to it as some of the changes within the organization. Right. It's funny how it's not a job and how every single damn coach refers to it as an organization, not an institution.
Doug Gottlieb tweeted out something last night, bit of a blanket statement, but he said, college football coaches are Republicans. College basketball coaches are Democrats. And I do think in the majority of cases that's true.
Yes. And look at the middle of the country. We know how they vote. I'm not trying to make this political, but if you pay attention, this is largely red states. In fact, all red states.
Well, the overwhelming majority of states are red. I mean, it just is if you follow politics.
Right.
I mean, you know, when at the end of the day, when you add it all up, the states are like 35 to 15. Okay. But you can get the electoral votes you need in those 15 states. But I mean, you know, so the majority of the country is red. So, you know, you could certainly argue the majority of the coaches are going to be red.
Right.
If you want to extrapolate
Absolutely.
that far. Speaking of colleges, sad note, longtime Purdue athletic director Morgan Burke passed away yesterday at the age of 68. He had been the athletic director at Purdue from 1993 to 2016. Think about what he oversaw at Purdue. The U.S. Open tennis tournament, Mark, is reportedly happening, but it is going to happen without fans. That has not been made official, but that is what outlets were reporting late yesterday, particularly in New York. And Colin Montgomery has picked up the mantle from Jack Nicklaus and said that we need a new golf ball on tour.
You mean the ones they use now go too far?
Yes. And he specifically cited Bryson DeChambeau and said, this is a joke. 360-yard drives on a regular basis. He goes, we can't build 10,000-yard courses. He said that at some point these courses are going to all be obsolete. Either that or they're going to have to be tricked up and gimmicked up to try to keep the scores in line, and that's not fun for anybody, fans, players, etc. And so he's calling on a golf ball that goes about 85% as far as the golf balls go now. A special tour ball to be able to just kind of keep it together. When he said, I'm watching DeChambeau play with Dustin Johnson, and DeChambeau is 30 to 40 yards past Dustin Johnson, he goes, yeah, this is crazy. So, Mark, you know I'm in favor of it.
David, according to the Post on DeChambeau's Friday round, just to focus on him, because he is referred to in this article as a snowplow. And in fact, it's the opening line of this Bro Bible article. It says, for non-golf fans, Bryson DeChambeau is a pro golfer who is currently transforming his body into a snowplow. But they have from the Post in here, on Friday, he had 10 holes on which he was with 100 yards of the green for his approach. Right. So if you take out the 4 par 3s, there was only 4 holes which DeChambeau had an approach shot to the green where he didn't have a sand wedge in his hand.
Yeah, or a wedge. Right.
Oh, no. I mean, 100 and in is a sand wedge.
Right. That's true.
No, I mean, they're hitting their sand wedge 130 yards. They might be hitting a 56 there, David. They hit the ball so damn far now. So it's the golf courses are defenseless. And we saw it. Colonial, it's the oldest track on tour, right?
And it's a short course. It's a tight course. It needs the wind to blow. It only really blew the final day. And that was the day with the highest scores, even though most everybody was under par.
But without the elements, the golf courses are damn near defenseless. Unless you grow up sick, rough, they're just defenseless. So I think this would be great. And for the longest time, they've been club. It's the clubs, it's the drivers. And finally, they realized it's the ball. These Pro V1s and, you know, whatever Callaway's got with their saw, they're just rockets.
And so Colin Montgomery, now remember, that's a golfer from a different era. You know, not Jack's era, but, you know, Monty, who's from Faldo's era, etc. But one of the TV voices of golf worldwide is Colin Montgomery, and he is calling for, we need a special tour golf ball. That could also be a poll question later on in the week. But at 16 minutes before 7 o'clock, Mark, that is
the starting 5. 5 big stories that you need to know. This is Miller and Moulton starting 5. Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
We will come back with a poll question based around the controversy at Oklahoma State late yesterday afternoon and into the early evening. and whether or not an athlete's and a coach's political views should matter in the relationship or not. Should politics be out of our sports? Can it be in 2020? We will formulate a poll question in and around it, and then get your thoughts on the matter here on Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Welcome to the program.
This is the Dan Patrick Show.
Vic Fangio is the head coach of the Denver Broncos, and he had this to say.
I don't see.
All right, how do you want to word this question?
All in the NFL. I don't
is that it right there?
In the NFL.
He does know where the NFL was trying to incentivize teams to bring in African-American coaches, and you would get a better draft pick. There is racism.
Dan Patrick. The Dan Patrick Show. Weekdays at 9
How do you want to word this?
on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
Hey, y'all. It's Billy Bob.
Do we need to put a qualifier in if you're an athlete?
Yes.
Company, and now I can too. Last week I was a dishwasher, but now I is a super duper plumber. I mean, electrician. No, not that. I think
If you're an athlete, should it matter what your coach's political views are?
$20. Folks, it's Fred Kobe of Kobe Cooling. And if you want Billy Bob or his brother Bubba to fix your air conditioner or plumbing and electric, they're out there. I've seen these multi-trade morons cause incredible damage, and they're really just out to sell. They make huge commissions, and they really have no clue as to what they're doing. If you want your pool guy doing your dentistry work, you should pay him $20 too. My advice would be hire an expert for what you need. Air conditioners deserve a NATE certified air conditioning mechanic and not Billy Bob the dishwasher. Call Kobe Cooling, license CACO 57313.
You should be driving Kia from Galliana.
Trade in and trade up. Over $500,000 in trade-in assistance up for grabs at Galliana Kia in Fort Myers. 2020 Kia Forte LXS lease. 0 down. $159 per
Based on Chubba Hubbard's comments about Coach Mike Gundy, if you are an athlete, should it matter what your coach's political views are?
Yeah.
I just think we got to put that sentence at the beginning, don't you?
Yeah.
Open to serve you. New Forte. 0 down. $159 per month. New Sorrentos. 0 down. $259 per month at Galliana Kia.
CHUBA.
Parkway on US 41 in Fort Myers.
Should I go, yes, it matters, no, shut up and play?
339-481-2600. GallianaCars.com.
No, shut up and dribble? No, that's funny.
That's funny.
10,000 miles per year, 0 to signing plus tax, tag title, dealer and acquisition fee, 0 security deposit, 30
All right.
per thousand borrowed for 72 months, 0 APR.
I'm guessing about 87% are going to say no.
Now, Hurricane
I think it's going to be around 70.
Believe it or not, well, problems with tile roofs, they continue to occur as a result. Now, many homeowners are just now feeling the effects of the hidden damage that occurred to their tile roof. Now, whether it's new leaks, cracked, unsecured tiles, these roofs are living on borrowed time. Now, tile roofs, by nature of their design, are susceptible to lift and powerful storms like hurricanes. When this
Arch,
occurs,
the only thing is there, if the coach's beliefs are that, I mean, there's really only two choices here. It's either Black Lives Matter or they don't. And that's kind of, I think, where these coaches are going to be put into. I think it's really tough to say, I don't believe in the Black Lives Matter issue. I totally understand what you're saying.
Naples.com. They are the tile experts.
And remember, Arch, we're asking from an athlete's perspective.
Just go to
not you, the fan.
CathedralRoofingNaples.com.
License number CCC 1331928.
No matter where you're boating, with Towboat US, you're covered by the world's largest towing fleet with over 300 ports nationwide. Your local Towboat US companies in Charlotte, Lee, and Collier counties are here to help 24/7, 365 days a year. Inland, the river to Lake O, and out 75 nautical miles. And new membership pricing starts as low as $99. Call 239-945-1664 for more information, or visit towboatuscapecoral.com. With Towboat US, you're never stuck on the water.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Dan Martineau here, owner of D.R. Martineau Roofing of Southwest Florida. We're still finding a lot of roofs with hurricane and windstorm damage. Call us today for a free inspection. Google DRM Roofing or call 239-332-1441.
License number CCC 1326954.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Now back to Miller and Moulton.
All right, now we're getting somewhere.
No.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Ten minutes before 7 o'clock on this Tuesday morning. Thanks for being with us. A lively discussion on Miller and Moulton today. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming foxsportsfm.com, broadcasting live on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. You can chime into the show on the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line, 479-5551, 479-5551.
So we've got our poll question up. Pretty simple, based on the Gundy-Hubbard dispute yesterday, based on Juba Hubbard's comments about his coach, Mike Gundy. If you are an athlete, should it matter what your coach's political views are? Simple yes or no question. That Mark Miller, soon to be on the David Moulton as well. And in our Twitch chat room, one of our frequenters here has tried to, ask a bunch of different questions. And last is I look at the players like myself. I've worked for many people that have different beliefs. And a couple of things there, Arch. One, you worked for. See, this is the big thing. We keep trying to use worked for with these athletes. They're not working for these guys. They're students. They're not getting paid. So I do believe that it is going to be a bigger part of it. Not a bigger part, but I think it's going to be a part of it. And, David, you used the statement that Gottlieb tweeted out. Football coaches are Republicans. College football coaches are Republicans. College basketball coaches are Democrats. Just take that at face value for what it's worth. Even if that is 90% true, we typically have no idea what these coaches believe. And you may work for a guy who has different beliefs from you, but I don't think that they're out there putting it out there every day. Maybe they are. And if they are, you have a choice to leave that job. But Mike Gundy wearing that shirt when he wore it is, to me, making a statement.
Well, and also 2 months earlier, he had publicly praised OAN. Said it's his new favorite network. He feels they just do the news. They don't throw in commentary, etc., which many people find laughable if you spend any time watching OAN. And for those that are unfamiliar, it's an alternative news source, and it is to the right of Fox.
Way to the right of Fox.
And, they've expounded on some conspiracy theories, and they also firmly believe that Black Lives Matter is a hoax. They've said the same thing about the coronavirus in the past few months. So that's the network that Mike Gundy is a proud fan of. If you're a player for Mike Gundy, and, let me think about it. 2/3 of his players are young black men. All right. The head coach is the fan of a network that thinks that what is going on in society right now is a joke. Let's just cut to the chase. It's a joke. That network is a supporter of the president. There's a very good chance if you're a person of color, you think the president is a racist. All right. Let's just cut the BS. Let's just get to the heart of the matter. It does not matter whether you agree or not. All right. This is the heart of the matter for a young black college athlete. Therefore, does that matter? Should it matter? Or, hey, just shut up and play. Shut up and play. Or, sorry, I can't play for this guy. If this guy supports him and believes that, then he doesn't believe in who I am. I can't play for him.
Kirk Ferentz fired his best friend this week.
Well,
I know he was forced to.
They reached a settlement.
Whatever. He fired his best.
$1.1 million, by the way.
Okay, but he still. Do you think he wanted to get rid of Chris Doyle?
Oh, of course not. It's
his best friend.
Right.
Yep. But if he wanted to get a kid to come play football for him, his choices were to get rid of his best friend or to keep him and commit career suicide. And he never would have been allowed to keep him through university means. So yeah, it does matter right now. Will it matter in 2022? I have no idea. None. I think it will, but I don't know.
So that's our poll question. In light of what took place yesterday at Oklahoma State, if you're a college athlete, and now granted, many of you listening used to be an athlete, all right, but you're not anymore. You're just a fan. You're a booster, and you're older, so your views are different.
And since you're in Southwest Florida, the odds are you're whiter.
Yes.
Just throwing that out there.
There's a very good chance of that. And so we ask you the question, all right, should it matter? And I don't know if should's the right word. Who knows? Maybe we should have used does it matter. But should it matter what your coach's political views are? And, we've gone to great lengths on this show to keep our personal politics, but also to keep politics out of our sports. Like we had a comment on the Twitch chat room earlier, Mark, in which, and he said, hey, this what you guys are having is a legitimate discussion. It also makes me long even more for games. He goes, this is what I'm not liking about, I turn to sports for sports. I don't turn to sports for society.
We'll break the Belmont down on Friday, I promise. We got the Heritage to talk about tomorrow. I'll give you a DraftKings lineup if you want.
Right,
but,
great prop bets.
But I don't know what to tell you of all the things going on.
No. He said this is a legitimate topic. He just said, though, that this is not why I'm a sports fan.
No, and unfortunately, the one scary thing about all, and we didn't get into the COVID thing too much, but with all of the cases, baseball, pro football, college football, NFL people yesterday said out loud, they're a little more worried than they were before. They got scared yesterday. That's the first time you've heard that type of concern. So, yes, we want football on Saturday and Sunday too.
Miller and Moulton. 479-5551 is how you can chime in on the text line. Also, there's interactive through our YouTube and Twitch TV channel.
I just synced my clock, and we were a second and a half early, I thought. But
the constant bombardment of bad news, and trying to keep you and your family safe.
On my clock was at like 48.
For Center for Men's Health. During these stressful times, your mood is so critical, and nothing's more important
yesterday
to a
it was
guy's
51
mood than testosterone. The single greatest issue for guys with low T is mood, and the single greatest change for men that get low T care is a greatly improved mood. Many are grumpy when they start, and most can't believe how much their mood improves once they get treated. And everything improves once your mood improves. Feel the difference C4MH.com can make in your life. I've been a patient of C4MH.com for a couple of years, and recently I've lost 20 pounds because now I have the energy to work out from home. And that'll put you in a good mood too. C4MH.com's express treatment plan is convenient, affordable, and above all, safe. And with locations all up and down West Florida, there's one near you right now. Find out more. Go to C4MH.com.
For over 20 years, the Good Feet store has been helping people with foot pain get back to doing what they love without their feet getting in the way. Call 552-FEET or visit us at the Good Feet store in Naples or our newest location in Fort Myers.
Looking for future leaders we can believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Florida. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It includes learning to listen, accepting responsibility, being a good role model, and it's about respect. The result, it transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. This message presented by the Florida High School Athletic Association and the Florida Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You aced vehicle history searches and test drives. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
WFSX AM from Naples to Cape Coral and all of Southwest Florida. 94.1 Fox Sports Radio. We are Fox Sports. Here's what's trending now. Brought to you by the Center for Men's Health. C4MH.com.
There's only one way to wake up in the morning.
How the heck are you?
Yep, that's it. Miller.
Really upset that my daughter will not read one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish on Twitch because I needed content. That's what we've come to.
And Moulton.
Well, we need to explain to her the pilot program, and we need 25 hours of programming a week. So you need to deliver your 12 minutes a day, 5 times a week, because that's an hour, honey.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham hotline. Goldberg-law.com.
Yes! Oh, I like it. It's up to you now. It's up to you. I like it.
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
As we approach a couple minutes past 7 o'clock, top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? We are Miller and Moulton, and this is Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming at foxsportsfm.com and broadcasting live on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. You can chime into the show via the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line at 479-5551, 479-5551. Talking a lot about what went on in Stillwater, Oklahoma yesterday, which was really about a 5-hour brouhaha, largely on social media, between the head coach and the star tailback of the team. And if you missed it, the head coach a picture emerged of him doing some fishing in an OAN t-shirt. OAN is a far-right alternative news network. They, at times, have not believed in the coronavirus and believe Black Lives Matter is a hoax. And the star tailback, who is black, said, I'm not going to play for him. This is ridiculous. This is unacceptable in the times that we live in right now. I'm not going to stand for this. His offensive line came out in support of him. Other players quickly came out in support of the player. And the coach had to scurry onto campus and meet with the player, and then they met with the media at about 7:15 last night. And the player said, I'll try to keep more of my complaints in-house. And the coach said, don't worry, we'll work through this. And it led to our poll question today, which is, if you're an athlete, not a fan, not a booster, if you're an athlete, should the coach's political views matter? Yes or no? And I would argue, Mark is 50, I'm 54. I would argue in our day, the answer wasn't no, it was hell no. You were lucky if it was only a benevolent dictatorship.
Well, an hour ago, it didn't matter.
Right.
It didn't matter in February.
It didn't matter in April. I mean, it just didn't. Now it's a different country. And, Archangel in our Twitch chat room expressed a view that I think a few people have, in which he just says, it seems that you're only allowed to express your views if they match the current PC accepted view. Well, Mark and I have argued, and Mark, I think I can speak for you here, that's a bit of a misnomer. You're allowed to express your views. There just could be consequences for them. All right. So so I understand what you mean, but what you said is not 100% accurate. You're allowed to express your views. Like Mike Gundy is a proud supporter of OAN. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Unless your players, who are largely black, who view that network as hostile to them, go, well, okay, if you're a supporter of what they're saying, then you're not a supporter of us.
And Nick said, should it matter? No. Does it matter? Unfortunately, yes. I remember when people with opposite political views used to have civil conversations. I know for a fact that they still do. We had them on Sunday in my house. But there's opposite political views in a civil discussion. And the head football coach, as David said, of a group of mostly young black men saying that he believes in a network that says Black Lives Matter is a hoax. Now, there's not a lot civil about that. I'm trying to figure out how you have a civil conversation when you're that far apart. That's not just thinking, less spending on the military. So it's bigger than that in this instance. And in the climate that we're in right now, it's even bigger.
And we believe anyway, for better or worse, that we're not going to go back on this one. All right. That this is the way the modern athlete, okay, and we may literally have to define the modern athlete as May of 2020. That the modern athlete is going to hold authority, hold power, because think about what has happened in the last month. The whole name and likeness thing that Governor DeSantis signed into law. I mean, we all know this is happening. It's just a matter of in what form is this going to go into law/NCAA rule book as. So this is happening. So that's a very powerful thing for some athletes. That's them getting a piece of the pie and not the man controlling them in every way. And now you have athletes that are speaking out. We have one of them coming on the show in less than an hour, Marvin Wilson of Florida State, who called out his head coach when he said, yeah, we met with everyone individually. And he went, no.
And just think about that little statement before. This is really innocent. This has nothing to do with political discussions. This has to do with a coach in an interview saying, yep, talk to everybody. We've got a good dialogue going. It's about a coach being a liar is what it is. Now, they were going to talk about this. Supposedly they were going to address bigger things. But could you have imagined? And I think 5-10 years ago, just 5-10 years ago, a coach in the early parts of Twitter, a coach says something and a player goes on Twitter and calls his coach a blatant liar.
Mark, I couldn't envision it in April. I'm not kidding. I couldn't have envisioned it 2 months ago. I really couldn't have.
So, and not that he just called him out. He called him out and won.
Right. And then
it's
the
not
whole
that
team jumped on board with him. They didn't leave him hanging. The whole team said, damn right, don't know what he's talking about. That's not true, blah, blah, blah. Then they all put their names on it.
But then the coach came out and said, I'm wrong. Right. They're right. I'm wrong. He didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't try to dance and say, I meant this. No. I planned on it and I screwed up.
Right. I overstated, what I said was going to be the truth in a few days, but it wasn't when I said it. And so that meeting that I talked about, we ended up having it right away.
It didn't go exactly how I thought it was going to.
Right. Thought I had a little more time, but nope. Hey, they got me.
And I was one for years. Going back to our first act, I told David all along, hell no, I wouldn't let my players on Twitter. What good can come from that?
Right. You were Kirk Ferentz.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You were not. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you, David. I'm just, there's nothing good that can come out of this during football season. I would change my tune on that. There's no way you can do that if you're a coach now. Well, Nick can.
Yes, and Dabo can. I mean, let's face it. The Ohio State coach can. I mean, at certain places, it's fairly competitive to get that scholarship there.
Funny.
You can implement any damn rules you want.
Dabo can. Willie, because it certainly seems that a lot of Clemson players have been, and his star quarterbacks have been a little more active social media-wise.
Well, and it didn't get nearly the publicity this past weekend that it was getting leading up to the weekend, but Dabo introduced Trevor Lawrence and a couple of other Clemson players at a rally over the weekend in Clemson. And it became a little awkward in town because apparently the KKK showed up. And so it was, needless to say, a little awkward. But, I mean, Dabo was front and center over the weekend. And a few of his players were like, hey, you took shots at him for 2 weeks. So, what about Michael Irvin's famous when he was on trial in Dallas and he claimed his innocence and he ended up being found innocent. And Michael Irvin, obviously huge headlines, lead story of the news, the whole deal. And when he was found not guilty, he walked out of that courtroom and he walked right to the cameras and he goes, make sure you all report this with the same intensity. Don't forget the intensity, the same intensity that you buried me for months. Make sure you report it that way. And of course they didn't, and they never do. All right. But Michael Irvin getting his point across, going, hey, now, come on.
479-5551. 479-5551, the Williamson Brothers Marine Talk and Text line. If you are not with us on either Twitch or YouTube, you can chime in the old-fashioned way on the Williamson Brothers Marine Talk and Text line.
And our poll question is, if you're an athlete, should it matter what your coach's political views are? Now, Mark, I'll say this. If I were an athlete, if my coach is going to be public with his political views, then I don't see how it couldn't one way or the other impact me. But, you know, for the most part, you and I keep our political views to ourselves. And therefore, and in large part because we don't want to lose any audience.
That's the only reason. That's the only reason.
And nowadays, people take sides, and they're not willing to. And so we don't want to deal with that. We don't want you taking sides. We just want you to enjoy a sports show and get your politics somewhere else. But if a coach is going to be politically active and or proudly espouse his or her views, should it matter to you, the athlete? Yes or no?
So we did get this text from someone to answer. So he said, so in other words, if your views are on the right, you have to keep your mouth shut? And I said, I just answered, I don't know. Wearing a shirt promoting a network that thinks Black Lives Matter is a hoax is a tough look for a college football coach, don't you think? And I try to go that route with people today. That's, you know, I'll ask you a question as opposed to state my opinion. Let me just ask you a question on it. And he said, I totally agree. And I'm not disagreeing, but think of this. If a black player can wear any political shirt at any time, but a white coach can't when he's on his time, what's fair? Look at Mike Gundy can wear whatever the hell shirt he wants to wear. He just have to now when he has to go inside that home and explain to that kid's parents why he's the best choice to lead their son into the next part of his life, there's more questions that have to be answered.
Mike Gundy did wear the shirt that he wanted to wear. He 2 months ago praised this network publicly in a media gathering. And it was widely reported, by the way. And nobody left the team. Now, they obviously weren't very happy with it, because when they saw him in the shirt yesterday, that's what caused the players to go, okay, enough's enough. And so, you know, I do think you have to ask yourself this. If you are dependent, if 2/3 of your team is the young black athlete, if you have certain political views, do you think that's going to affect your job positively or negatively? I think that's a fair question to ask. Because as Mark pointed out, at some point in time, you got to be in the living room doing recruiting. And if you're going to espouse your views publicly, then that means that you could either have a great meeting in a living room or a very awkward meeting in a living room. And ultimately, your job comes down to recruiting. I mean, let's face facts. You got to be able to recruit. You can coach them up to a point. But as, you know, to quote Michael Irvin once again, it ain't the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
And this Jimmy or this Joe or Hubbard here, he's the best in the country.
He was last year.
He's the leading returning rusher in the country and could have gone pro and decided to come back to Oklahoma State. And it was a big get for the Cowboys for him to come back for another year.
479-5551, 479-5551. I will say, if you're Rob Manfred, you want shows like us talking about what took place for 5 hours in Stillwater, Oklahoma yesterday as much as possible. Because what's going on in Major League Baseball right now is an absolute disgrace.
I have not wanted to avoid the baseball subject. I just thought it was fair to our audience today to relieve you of baseball talk, because David was angry yesterday, and after yesterday's show, nothing for baseball did anything but get worse in the 21 hours between when we ended and we came back on the air.
Andrew Siciliano sent out a tweet last night that basically says, hey, baseball, you screw this up, there's no need for you to ever call me again. And that's exactly how I feel. Rob Manfred wants to cancel the season. I'm done with the sport. I really am.
Wait a minute.
Done.
Wait a minute. Okay, hold on. Hold everything. Hold the phone. You have blasted this 50, 60, 70. I don't think they're playing 80 games. I don't think there's a way for them to. So we're going to have a much abbreviated season. It's going to be less than half of the season, of which you've said is a joke and you don't care. If they scrap the season, you're even more done than the season that you've already said is a joke?
Yeah, because they're not scrapping it because of the coronavirus. They're scrapping it over money. I mean, Rob Manfred said last night, I can't guarantee we're going to have a season, and said to the Major League Baseball Players Association, the only way I can see us going forward is if you guys agree not to file a grievance against us. So if you agree not to sue, we'll have a season. But if you're going to sue us and file a grievance for not negotiating in good faith, boy, that seems like that's going to be a hard case to prove. I think I can do it without a law degree. Watch a few episodes of Law and Order and brush up on my plan of attack. I think I can win this. So if you guys aren't going to sue us, we'll have a season. But if you're going to sue us, we're going to cancel the whole season. Really? You guys don't care about the sport that much? It's strictly a business to you? Strictly a business. Not 99% a business either. That's 100% a business move. Fans give owners a lot. They build them stadiums. They give them tax breaks. Do you know what we ask of you? Shut up and play. That's what we ask. Show up and play. And we'll continue to give you our time and our money. That's all we ask. Well, we're not going to play if they're going to threaten us with a grievance. Well, you can stick your grievance up your ass. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not allowed to say that?
No.
I just did.
No.
No,
That's
I
that's
apologize.
I'm
sorry.
That's
I'm done. I will be done. Why in the world am I going to give a baseball owner a single penny of my money ever again? Ever. You're not scrapping the season over the coronavirus. I would, by the way, I'd stand with you on it. I'd stand with you on that. I wouldn't agree with it, but I could support it. And quite frankly, if you took that angle, you had a good day yesterday. The coronavirus reared its head yesterday. It was all over the sports world yesterday. You could make that argument, especially since the players have said we're not going to do the centralized location. The players said they wouldn't agree to the NBA, where we bring you, or the NHL, where we bring you to 2 spots. The NBA, where we bring you to 1. Major League Baseball players said we're not doing that. I think the owners could have said, listen, if you want to try to play in 30 stadiums in 27 cities, I don't know what to tell you. We can't do this. And if you're insistent on this, then we're not going to have a season. Okay. No, I'd be done. Absolutely done. You're going to act like children. I'm not going to support you.
479-5551.
I don't think I'm alone, by the way.
Oh, I never said that you were, David.
How many people have already turned away from baseball?
Me. A long time ago. I mean,
There you go.
I've not been a baseball fan And, David, I watched the Maguire-Sosa thing, the Long Gone Summer last night. It was on at 7 o'clock or whatever. And I ended up watching the whole thing. And it was really good. Butera didn't like it. Oh, well, I thought it was good. Yeah, did they completely gloss over the steroids? Yes. Did you catch the name of the movie? Long Gone Summer. It was to celebrate that summer when we either had our head in the sand.
Yes.
And everybody did. And, but Maguire didn't say much about it. Sosa kind of laughed at Sosa flat out laughed at the guy asking him to admit he did steroids. He just kind of said, really? That list, 109 guys, 4 or 5 guys are in the Hall of Fame off that list, right? And I'm the one that has to take all the brunt of this? So I don't know what to tell you. I'm happy. I got a good life. I'm good. Look, you can say what you want about Sammy Sosa, but they talk about really on the part of Sosa, where the Cubs and Sosa are they don't speak, they don't allow Sosa back there, and I know Sammy left in a horrible way. When he left early and just drove off, I get it. But the one thing that this reminded me of, and David's a far better historian than all of us combined, is just how lousy the Cubs were before Sammy Sosa. And what a run they had with him. Attendance went through the roof, all over baseball. And that's what they focused on. And it brought, one of the big things at the end was after Wood, the pitcher for the Cubs, Kerry Wood. He says, look at, matter-of-factly that Sammy Sosa and Mark Maguire brought baseball back. He goes, there were so many people after 94 that were done. He goes, I watched it firsthand. This guy brought baseball back in this town. And not just this town, he goes, because every stadium we were going to was sold out. And I don't know what the story is that brings the sport back from this one.
Yeah, I don't know either. But you may laugh because I'm a 54-year-old guy, but do you know what the average age of a baseball fan is?
You're young. You would be young.
Only slightly, though. Maybe I tell you what, one of those moments where I felt old when you do Today Is the Day When, and you do certain birthdays, and every now and then, somebody's birthday really hits you hard and makes you feel old.
We've got one of those today.
Okay. Well, I read a story recently in which they talked about the demographic of an average baseball fan. Hey, it's 57 years old. Well, I'm 54. I'm baseball's wheelhouse. I'm a sportscaster, for goodness sakes. My best friend named his son Shea after the stadium.
How you get that past the wife is beyond me.
I, of course, joked when
City.
They tore the stadium down, and now they play at Citi Field, where we're going to, rename my godson City. He didn't like that very much. I thought it was a pretty good line.
I think it's a pretty good line.
Yeah, I do too. I'm sorry. I think it stands the test of time. I really do.
Miller and Moulton. Boy, oh boy. Thank God the baseball hour got postponed to the 7 a.m. hour. We have not had one of those out of David Moulton in a long time. Don't know how it's going to affect the rest of the show. But I think
post-surgery.
I think the strength is starting to come back, don't you?
First one post-surgery. That is true. Don't need 2 kidneys to get rid of a sport. And another thing, Miller and Moulton. Wow. Today was the day when in about 25 minutes time. Pat Kerwin in an hour. Here on Southwest Florida's
Woo-hoo!
Fox Sports Radio.
Someone get David a hoagie was the best line in the entire. You're going nuts. And Johnny Mack types in, someone give David a
You just don't
hoagie.
have much left in the tank. James Harden has lost his legs in the playoffs over and over and over. He goes through droughts and bad nights. We really don't see much in the regular season. James needs the whistle. The refs don't give you the whistle in the playoffs.
Colin Cowherd. Weekdays at noon on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
It's Fred Kobe with your Kobe Cooling Tip of the Day. I'd like to tell you that I'm the best AC mechanic in my company, but I'd be lying to you. I think my NATE certified mechanic team hides my tools from me so I don't hurt myself. You see, I'm the old guy, and I've been doing this work since I was a kid with my dad. Our younger staff are really the best mechanics in this business, and they've been through years of training and years of testing, with continuing education to keep up to date on the latest and greatest things in the air conditioning world.
Oh,
All companies brag about their experience, and we certainly have that, but we're most proud of our team
Sorry,
being on
Mark.
the cutting edge and the leaders
Oh,
in
what?
technology and application of the modern air conditioning equipment.
Well, no, you just the whole things can't go up anyone. You can call someone and ask. You can't have someone shoving something. That's where the problem is.
Call
The grievance up the.
1542 and experience the best.
Look, I don't think anybody's.
Did they kiss my ass?
Yes.
Okay.
They can kiss your ass. They just can't. There can be nothing.
I can't shove it up there.
Correct.
At Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
No shoving.
Prices ever on over 1,500 new and certified
By the way, I just want everybody to know right now that out of the two of us, I actually didn't break the FCC rule. I think that's pretty impressive.
Passenger Dodge Journey SUV, just $19,990. Plus at
I would
Galliana
kill
Chrysler
for a
Dodge Jeep
hoagie.
Ram, you can drive payment-free for 3 months or interest-free for 6 years and worry-free up to
Is that a bumper sticker on your car now, David? I break for hoagies.
Open to serve you. Below invoice employee pricing at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
You know, I think a grinder is an underrated sandwich. Once you start throwing some heat on there. Exactly. It's exactly like Cinemax hops. No penetration. You cannot allow that.
Your $19.99 due at signing plus tax, tag title, dealer, and acquisition fee, 0 security deposit, $13.88 per month per $1,000 borrowed for 72 months at 0 APR with 0 down with lender approval. Offers don't combine.
Dial star 2020. Friends, I care.
Well, we're all trying to wash our hands 10, maybe 50, 100 times a day now. So when you touch your contact lenses in the morning, are you also thinking about, well, all the germs you could potentially be placing in your eyes? No one wants to think about that, so it might be a great time to consider LASIK. France Eye Care offering $1,000 off bilateral LASIK, a savings that make the procedure much more affordable. Dr. Jonathan France and his expert team of surgeons want to help you see your future in 2020 by providing you with better vision and a better quality of life. But what if you've been told you're not a candidate for LASIK? Call France Eye Care anyway, because there are other procedures available that will help you see clearly without the use of glasses or contact lenses. Call now, schedule your free consultation, take advantage of $1,000 off bilateral LASIK special. Financing available.
Friends, I care.
This message is sponsored by the Florida A&M University Medical Marijuana Education and Research Initiative, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
Where I'm from, marijuana is legal. Can I use it in Florida?
No, brah.
It's illegal here.
Telling you, there need to be a bra in there.
Is a misdemeanor, and more than 20 grams is a felony. Well, I have epilepsy. Should I try to get a medical marijuana prescription? Now that's legal, but talk to your doctor first to see if it's a qualifying condition and if medical marijuana is even right for you. I will, thanks.
I'm a busy person.
And trust me, if it's not a qualifying condition, the doctor will tell you 4 that are.
To the daily podcasts. Here we go. Now back to Miller and Moulton. No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
"29 minutes past 7 o'clock as we're nearly halfway home on this Tuesday edition of Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming at foxsportsfm.com, broadcasting live and committing FCC violations, are we, on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. You can chime into the show via the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line, 479-5551, 479-5551.
Did you stretch during the break? Did you have to? I mean, did that rant cause maybe I got to get on my toes? Did the wife walk in concerned with the rant? Because it is your first post-surgery rant.
Wife sleeping through the rant.
Wow.
Yes.
That's impressive.
Yep.
Earplugs?
Hey, listen, between the bulldog and me, she's used to loud noise, while sleeping.
That's impressive.
Although it's been a while for me. Okay. I mean, the last time that, we slept together was, the second Bush administration. So, she just has to go by memory. 479-5551, 479-5551 if you want to chime in on the Williamson Brothers
Marine Talk and Text Line.
Well, if I could just get personal for a moment, I have said, first off, for the longest time, I worked, nights, basically, afternoons and evenings, and the wife has always gotten up very early. And so we're on different schedules, but also up until 5 years ago when I got a sleep machine, I was pretty loud at night. I sounded like a jackhammer. And so, we made the decision. She sleeps on one end of the house. I sleep on the other. So, funny story, Mark. We drop our daughter off at college. On the way back, I pick up the sleep machine, and we go away for a little staycation. We're going to treat ourselves to a few days. It's August. My football season's beginning in an hour. And so, we're just going to get away for a few days. And so, I got we're in a hotel together. Now, this is one of the things. I even said to her, "Are you sure you want to do this? We got to be in the same room together." She's like, "Yeah, okay, we'll give it a try." So, I set up the machine first time, put the thing in, and I'm sleeping. And apparently I'm not making any noise. And because of it, she didn't sleep at all. She spent the whole night thinking I had stopped breathing. She hovered over me, she said, for the whole night, just trying to see whether or not I was breathing. No sleep at all. I have the best night's sleep I've had in 20 years. I get up, I've got a few days off from work. I'm letting my guard down. I'm great. I look over. She's a mess. All right. Circles, bags, the whole deal. I go, "What's wrong?" She goes, I thought you'd stop breathing all night. I didn't sleep awake. So I spent the whole morning by myself, swimming in the pool, the whole deal. She had to go to sleep.
It's an interesting household over there. It's really an interesting household.
So that's all. Just a little. Hey,
could you imagine if this family drank
behind the curtain?
Could you imagine if they actually drank and did some drugs? They'd be really fun. This is all dead sober, for crying out loud.
This is as boring and middle-aged as it can get. Absolutely. We are living the high life. Baby.
That is a great and depressing story all at the same time.
479-5551. 479-5551 on the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line. And I don't know if it was the text and talk line or if it was the Twitch chat room, but somebody said that during that rant I needed a hoagie.
Yes.
Boy, are you right.
Yes, he does.
Man, are you right.
No one has needed a carbohydrate more than David Moulton right now.
Tell you what I would do for a piece of bread. Man, oh, man.
Our poll question today centers around what happened in Stillwater, Oklahoma yesterday. Juba Hubbard, their leading rusher in the country, returning, went on Twitter after seeing a picture of the coach Mike Gundy wearing an OAN.
N.
I almost said OAR. That's a band. OAN.
OAN.
It's a far-right
alternative news network.
Yes. And Hubbard very upset about his coach wearing that. And basically said he was going to boycott all things Oklahoma State. Now, they came out with a joint little presser yesterday in which Gundy said it's all good, we'll work it out. And Hubbard said, I wish I wouldn't have necessarily gone public with it. But it leads to our poll question. So based on Hubbard's comments about his coach, if you are an athlete, should it matter what your coach's political views are? Not you, a fan, if you're an athlete. And right now, 52% of you say it does not matter.
Okay.
It's a lot closer than I thought it would be.
Right. You thought it would be overwhelming. I thought it would be, 2-1. 70% I thought it'd be around. It's still early. This is what Hubbard said yesterday, quote, "I will not stand for this. This is completely insensitive to everything going on in society, and it's unacceptable." And he had a healthy chunk of teammates who immediately agreed with him on Twitter, which led a few to conclude that this goes a little deeper than the OAN shirt, especially since it was either the AD or the president, but I think it was the AD that said that what I have found out in the last few hours is, quote, disturbing, unquote. So I think that there's going to be a little more to this going forward. And it would not shock me, Mark, if a player or two, whether it's on the record or off the record, tells a story or two.
And David, moments ago, had an out-of-body experience for the first time today. He decided to not talk baseball in the baseball hour. I mean, we had a serious conversation, which we don't do very often before the show. Usually 6 o'clock and 45 seconds, right before the music come on, David looked at me and goes, so, what do you want to talk about today?
Right.
And I laugh at him because there's no time to discuss it. But there were a lot of stories between baseball, between what's going on in hockey, basketball, the NFL with the coronavirus cases and people testing positive. So there's a lot out there. And we decided that we thought the college football story was the one we were going to lead with. But David just teed off on Manfred because Manfred a week ago said we're 100% playing baseball. And then yesterday says we're not.
Can't guarantee a season.
Can't guarantee a season.
If the players are not going to sign a waiver, if the players are going to threaten us with a grievance, then we may just have to shut the sport down this year. Okay. All right. Fine.
And David, you mentioned, I forgot the writer you said earlier who said they'd be done if there's no season. You said you'd be done. A guy you and I both like, Steve Politti, who writes in Jersey. His article just came out. A guy I follow literally just saw it as we were coming back to break. Good riddance, baseball. The media is now going to attack Manfred for this.
Well, Andrew Siciliano from the NFL Network was the one that said, hey, baseball, just so you know, you do this, don't bother calling me again.
Politti called what Manfred did yesterday with the about face. He said, delivered the most callous about face in recent sports history. It's hard to argue that. And I have trouble getting into this conversation because baseball's largely, I've kind of moved on. Now, that could be because the team that I've spent my life rooting for is just god-awful. It does make it a little harder.
They did have a really good 10-year run, though.
They did, but I mean, the Marlins suck right now. The Rays, it's tough to get behind the Rays in this market. The way I know they play good baseball, but they seemingly get rid of players once you get to know their name. So I think living here is a tough place to be a baseball fan.
Outside of March, I'd agree with you.
Well, but spring training largely isn't what it used to be. Spring training was a time that you made the team and you could see a team develop. Now that's not what spring training's about. It's a money grab.
Well, and also the players used to even play more spring training games and more innings in those games than they do now. I mean, it's not the value that it was just 5 years ago. And you're right. It's a total money grab is what spring training is. But they've hoodwinked the faithful, and we're willing to go along with it, Mark. You know why? All we ask is that you play. That is literally all we ask of you. Play. We're not even Herm Edwards. We're not even asking you play to win the game. Mark, we're just asking that you play the game. That's all. Play the damn game. That's it. Play the game. And we're willing to look the other way about a whole bunch of things. All right, give me my 3 hours on a Tuesday night so I don't have to talk to my wife. That's it. And you guys can't do that this year. Okay. All right. A story that's not getting a lot of attention, that should get more attention, though, is what's being reported about the U.S. Open tennis tournament. Think about where it's located. Think about when it's taking place. And the reports are that, A, it's going to take place, but B, it's going to take place without fans. Well, first off, Mark, it ends right as the U.S. Open golf tournament is starting. And the U.S. Open golf tournament's taking place 30 minutes away. So that'll be an interesting dichotomy, number one. If they don't have fans at the tennis tournament, and Arthur Ashe Stadium is huge, by the way. It's like 23,000 seats. I mean, you can find a way to put 5,000 people in that stadium. I mean, you really could. But they don't want to have anybody on the grounds. Also, do you know where the U.S. Open tennis tournament is? It's in the Citi Field parking lot. So if they're not going to have fans at the tennis tournament, in the last couple of days of August and the first 2 weeks of September, do you think they're ever going to sell a ticket to a Mets game this year?
No.
Or a Yankees game
No.
this year? Okay.
Or look at, I worry about the Giants and Jets.
Well, there we go. That's where I was going. So now let's go across the Hudson.
Well, and that's, when the positive test came back from the Texans players and the Cowboys players, happened to be flipping channels. And I rarely go to ESPN in the morning. And I very rarely watch ESPN. And I watched it a bunch yesterday. But I happened to have the sports mix on, and Louis Riddick was on. So I clicked to hear what he was having to say. And he made look, from a coronavirus standpoint, he just made an excellent point. He goes, what are you supposed to do here? What happens if your whole position group goes down? He goes, you literally could lose all your wide receivers for 2 weeks.
Yep.
And these were the real questions. I thought Louis Riddick had a very candid conversation about football and the coronavirus. These guys are split up in rooms and watching film, and all of a sudden your running back gets coronavirus. Uh-oh, what if number 2 and number 3 has it? What type of a competitive disadvantage are you now at for your next 2 games? This is not, this isn't coronavirus, this is football. If the rule's in place, they got to set out for 14 days. And a position, your offensive line comes down with the coronavirus. The NFL freaked out yesterday for the first time.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And we'll let Pat Kerwin on the show in about 45 minutes. And we will ask him about this. See, my belief is if you don't start on time, you're not going to have a season in 2020. Now, you may have to have it in the spring of 2021. But see, to me, Mark, if you're believing the scientists, they are saying that the risk is greater in November than it is in September because of the confluence of flu season and all that. So if you don't start the season on time, well, then when are you going to start it? In theory, August, September, October is going to be better than November and December. Same thing with college football. If I'm college football, for the most part, outside of the bowl games, which I think the bowl games are going away this year. Outside of the playoff, I don't think the bowl games, the New Year's 6 bowls will happen. I don't know if any other bowl games will happen.
Oh, really?
I don't.
I'll take you on with that one.
Okay.
ESPN pays a lot of money to put that programming on television, David.
Well, and it's true, and maybe they'll take place with no fans.
Exactly, because they don't need fans. They just need the games.
And maybe ESPN will bankroll it. That's true. Completely bankroll it for the program.
Yep.
That is true. And that's more likely to happen than my scenario. But if you believe in the second wave of the coronavirus and when it's going to happen, if you're college football, you've got to start on time because you're just going to get your season in, if you know what I mean. Right around Thanksgiving and what have you is when it could get sketchy again. So you're just trying to squeeze in that regular season. And if you delay it at all, I think you're looking at the spring of 2021. And I know none of these sports want to start and then stop. But I think that they'll do that before they'll postpone the start. Because, Mark, this goes back to what we said. And I know we got to take a break. But this goes back to what we said 3 months ago. We're not that smart. We are not that smart, but we said, if you're going to go forward, you need to come up with a plan and a determination as to what you are going to do when players test positive, because of course they're going to. Miller and Moulton. 15 minutes before 8 o'clock. Today was the day when is coming up. Marvin Wilson, standout defensive player for the Florida State Seminoles, the gentleman who a couple of weeks ago called out his head coach. He will join us coming up at the top of the hour. Pat Kerwin will join us in 40 minutes' time. And then the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we have a lively final hour and 15 minutes of Miller and Moulton coming up. So stay with us on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Drive home with the Doug Gottlieb Show.
Optics matter.
Sorry, that was Tallahassee. I didn't want to not get that interview by not answering it, David.
I think the optics look really, really
I hear
good.
you.
MLS is coming back.
Like, I don't know what they're doing. Like, we're ready to patch him in. Like, we're not ready for him until 8. I don't know what to tell you here. I said, you can patch him in, but he's going to have to listen to a segment and sit on hold for 20 minutes, and I doubt he wants to do that.
Afternoons at 3 on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports
So I apologize.
Oh, that's okay.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is DR Martineau. You can count on us for great service. You can count on us to get it done. You can count on us for a price that's fair. The quality is second to none. For professional roofing, the name you need to know is DR Martineau.
It's Fred Kobe with your Kobe Cooling Tip of the Day. I'd like to tell you that I'm the best AC mechanic in my company, but I'd be lying to you. I think my NATE certified mechanic team hides my tools from me so I don't hurt myself. You see, I'm the old guy, and I've been doing this work since I was a kid with my dad. Our younger staff are really the best mechanics in this business, and they've been through years of training and years of testing, with continuing education to keep up to date on the latest and greatest things in the air conditioning world. All companies brag about their experience, and we certainly have that, but we're most proud of our team being on the cutting edge and the leaders in technology and application of the modern air conditioning equipment. That's why we've been voted best air conditioning company in Southwest Florida year after year in the news press polls. It's not me, it's the best team of NATE certified mechanics ever assembled. Call 239-482-1542 and experience the best. License CACO 57313.
Attention, Southwest Florida. Are you ready for this? Only Naples Nissan will give you $8,000 over Kelley Blue Book value for your trade-in. Hundreds of new SUV models to choose from, all backed by our exclusive unlimited mile lifetime warranty. Pick out your favorite at NaplesNissan.com. Then come see us on Pine Ridge Road to find out the KBB.com current market value for your trade-in. And we'll give you $8,000 more so you can drive that brand new Nissan home today. If KBB says it's worth $5,000, Naples Nissan will give you $13,000. If KBB says $10,000, we'll give you $18,000. You must act fast though. Visit NaplesNissan.com for full details. Offer on select models with approved credit and cannot be combined.
Cathedral Roofing Innovations. Now, Hurricane Irma was a long time ago, but believe it or not, problems with tile roofs, they continue to occur as a result. Now, many homeowners are just now feeling the effects of the hidden damage that occurred to their tile roof. Now, whether it's new leaks, cracked, unsecured tiles, these roofs are living on borrowed time. Now, tile roofs, by nature of their design, are susceptible to lift and powerful storms like hurricanes. When this occurs, your tile underlayment can be compromised, but you would not realize it until possibly years later. Now, with Cathedral Roofing Innovations, you get a great roofing company to inspect your roof for any damage, and just because you don't have leaks doesn't mean you don't have issues. Just go to cathedralroofingnaples.com. They are the tile experts in Naples, and they will start the inspection process right away. Just go to cathedralroofingnaples.com, cathedralroofingnaples.com.
License number CCC 1331928.
This message is sponsored by the Florida A&M University Medical Marijuana Education and Research Initiative, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
Where I'm from, marijuana is legal. Can I use it in Florida? Nah, it's illegal here, man. But I have PTSD. Should I at least try to get medical marijuana? That's legal. But if I were you, I'd talk to my doctor about qualifying conditions and to find out if medical marijuana is even right for you. Thanks. I'll talk to my doctor.
When we talk the talk,
This is what we talk about.
He's talking about right and wrong.
we back it up.
Talk about what you know.
We're Fox Sports Radio. And when we talk the talk,
A lot of sports stuff to talk about.
we back it up.
Good sports talk radio.
On Fox Sports Radio. Here we go. Now back to Miller and Moulton. No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
10 minutes before 8 o'clock, Marvin Wilson, standout defensive lineman for Florida State, socially active, in the last couple weeks. He's got another project that he wants to help promote. We'll have no problem helping him promote it, as he'll also answer some of our football questions coming up in a little more than 10 minutes' time. Pat Kerwin in about 35 minutes here on Miller and Moulton. But now, without further ado, it is time for
Miller and Moulton's Today Was the Day When, giving you the history of today's date so you're a beacon of useless knowledge around the office.
Useless, but a lot of fun to talk about.
This is Today Was the Day When, Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
Wow, this may have been a nugget you would have had this week, David. In 1946, World War II veteran Lloyd Mangrum defeats Byron Nelson and Vic Gezzi in a 36-hole playoff to win his only major title. Now, I don't know if you'd have had it, but you might have had it if you were actually working this week at the U.S. Open.
Boy, the U.S. Open is into the grind. I mean, think about that. They were the ones that had the 18-hole playoff, the longest, and as you talked about there in the 40s.
36-hole playoff.
We're tied? Yeah, okay, we'll decide this with 36 holes. Man.
51, Hogan wins his second consecutive U.S. Open. 56, Kerry Middlecoff wins his second Open, beating Hogan by a shot. 1960, Psycho debuts in New York City. 1967, 50,000 attend the Monterey International Pop Festival, beginning the Summer of Love. 1968 at Oak Hill, Lee Trevino wins his first major, defeating Jack by 4, the first to play sub-70 golf in Open history. 1974, Hale Irwin at 7 over at Wingfoot.
Yep.
Wins his first of 3. Also on that same day, Bjorn Borg wins his first career Grand Slam, winning the French in 5 sets. Lost the first 2 and then would win 6-0, 6-1, 6-1. Today in 75, Milwaukee trades Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Walt Wesley to L.A. for 4 players. Ron Guidry throws his first complete game today in 77. Grease debuted today in 1978.
Love the Grease.
How could Olivia Newton-John was smoking hot in that movie? I mean, come on. You throw that tight leather outfit on her right now, and she'd probably still look good, for crying out loud. 1980, The Blues Brothers premieres. One of the best ensemble casts of any film ever.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, just...
Also credited with kind of the rebirth of like black music, because they brought in so many black music artists and celebrated their music culture.
Johnny Lee Hooker, Ray Charles,
yes,
Aretha Franklin. I mean,
yes.
Cab Calloway. I mean, come on, it's ridiculous. And then you have Carrie Fisher and all of the different actors and actresses. Just, it's amazing the number of people that are in that film. 1985 at Oakland Hills, Andy North would win the 1985 U.S. Open for his second title.
And it was the only 2 tournaments he ever won on the PGA Tour, were the 2 U.S. Opens.
1996, the Bulls beat the Sonics in 6. Also that day, Steve Jones wins the U.S. Open at Oakland Hills. 98, the Wings go back-to-back, defeating the Capitals for a sweep in their second consecutive Stanley Cup. 2002, Tiger at Bethpage wins his second Open title. 2008, Tiger wins his third, the one that we watch, him winning the Monday playoff against Rocco. 2013, wow. Justin Rose wins his first title, 2 ahead of Jason Day, and who else but Phil Mickelson.
Yep.
And it was a year ago that Woodland won his first U.S. Open.
Can you believe it's been 12 years ago since Tiger and Rocco?
Right. If you were born today, you share your birthday with Tom Bones Malone. He was in the Blues Brothers, part of that ensemble cast. Ron LaFleur, the former Tiger, born today in 1948. The great Roberto Duran, born today in 1951. Tree Rollins is 65 today, David. I loved me some Tree Rollins.
I did too.
It has him as a calf, and I can't think of Tree but anything as a hawk.
Exactly. I love those Atlanta Hawks teams. They had Doc Rivers, they had Dominique, they had Tree Rollins, they had Mike Glenn, they had Spud Webb. I mean, they had some entertaining players. They couldn't win at all.
No, think how good the East was then.
Yep. They were lucky to get out of the first round.
Correct. If you were born today, you share your birthday with Phil Mickelson.
Yeah, he's 50.
And Tupac would have been 49 today. Kerry Wood is 43. That is, today was the day when, on this June 16th. It's wild. Tupac would have been 49. He's been gone for a long time. 24 years.
What, 95?
96.
96? Man.
I usually get some if I do any type of working out, there's a little bit of Tupac on the workout mix. Kind of gets the blood pumping a little bit, David.
Gotcha. Think Phil will ever win again on the PGA Tour?
No.
Okay.
I think it's 3 rounds, not 4. I think what you saw, last week, those type of things,
1 minute.
Maybe could he pull magic out at Augusta once? That would be the one course I would give any older player a shot. He's so good around the greens. He putts so well. He's streaky. And I could see possibly him being like a Freddie Couples where he's hanging around on Sunday on a leaderboard at Augusta at some point.
Phil with 2 third-place finishes earlier this year, but you wonder if Phil, at 50, forget will he win a U.S. Open? Forget will he be able to put another major on the board? Is Phil done winning? It is, after all, 50. Haven't been a whole lot win on the PGA Tour when the first digit's of 5.
Nope. No, they have not. We have a terrific 8 o'clock hour ahead. We'll go to Tallahassee, have a little conversation, and Pat Kerwin all coming up. Final hour, Miller and Moulton, Fox Sports Radio. I knew it was Wilson, and I had a different last name in my head, and if I said it, I was going to say it wrong, and I'm like, I just had a
brain fart.
I had a complete effing brain freeze.
Marvin Wilson.
Because it doesn't sound like a 20-year-old defensive lineman. It sounds like an attorney or a doctor.
Plus, at Galliana Kia in Fort Myers, you can drive interest-free up to 72 months.
I knew you had shit going on yesterday, David, but I go downstairs because I'm dead. Dead. I want nothing to do with the day. And at about 11 o'clock, as I'm flipping through what channels, what's on, Birdcage is on.
Oh, boy. Unfortunately, I was in the middle of my second opinion.
I know, and that's why I completely left you alone. I was going to just, at the very end, because I had it on, I was kind of in and out of a daze. Hello, this is Mark Miller.
Hey, Mark, this is
For
Ed
over
again.
20 years,
Yep.
the Good Feet store has been helping people with foot pain get back to doing what they love.
Fantastic.
Without their feet getting in the way. Call 552-FEET or visit us at the Good Feet store in Naples or our newest location.
But just the end of that, Bob Dole. I was going to tape the
Bob Dole is gorgeous.
And the person sitting next to him, the face that they make is just. I was just watching Hank Azaria's faces throughout the whole thing.
Marvin, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
We got you, Marvin?
Yes, sir.
All right. David and Mark. David will talk first. Mark will talk second. Thank you very, very much for your time, young man. We're really looking forward to this.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you having me.
You bet. Marvin, we'll be on in about 2 minutes, okay?
Okay.
You ace vehicle history searches and test drives. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get
Marvin, how long you been working on this?
Probably about 2 weeks now.
Okay.
WFSX AM from Naples to Cape Coral and all of Southwest Florida. 105.9 Fox Sports Radio. We are Fox Sports. Here's what's trending now. Brought to you by the Center for Men's Health. C4MH.com.
Johnny Mac, Hank Azaria's faces during that whole thing were just.
They were
I'm just watching Lane and Robin Williams have conversations, and I'm just focused on his facial expressions, and it's great. It's hysterical.
Crossfire, and they're screaming and yelling at one another.
Most intelligent show on television.
Most intelligent show on television. Golly. That's somebody I miss. Gene Hackman retired a few years ago. He's great at everything he did.
Miller, really upset that my daughter will not read one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish on Twitch because I needed content. That's what we've come to.
And Moulton.
Well, we need to explain to her the pilot program, and we need 25 hours of programming a week. So you need to deliver your 12 minutes a day, 5 times a week, because that's an hour, honey.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham hotline. Goldberg-law.com.
Oh, I like It's up to you now. It's up to you. I like it.
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
And as we approach a couple minutes past 8 o'clock, top of the morning to you, how the heck are you? We are Miller and Moulton, and this is Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming at foxsportsfm.com and broadcasting live on our YouTube and Twitch TV channels. Pat Kerwin to join us in roughly 25 minutes' time, but without further ado, it is a pleasure to welcome the standout defensive tackle for the Florida State Seminoles. He's Marvin Wilson. He's teamed up with Game Time Prep, an organization trying to help young athletes make it to college. And they've created what's called Marvin's Movement, which is to help kids understand the importance of money, sound money management, and also to be able to find affordable health care. And Marvin Wilson is kind enough to join us right now. Marvin, David, and Mark, thanks for your time. Why are you so socially active? Let's face it, Marvin, most people are not socially active, never mind young college athletes. Why are you called to be so active?
Honestly, you're never too young to change the world. I just feel like with a time of so much crisis going on and as athletes having a platform, I feel like it was just time for us to start standing up and doing what's right, helping change the world and help impact the generations under us and around us right now to start making the world a better place.
Marvin, can you take us back to your meeting with Coach Norville? You know, he came out and said he talked to everybody, and you were the first one to say, yeah, that didn't happen. And not only did you speak your mind, but from the outside, you were right. You won, and he seemed to take account to what you said. How did that meeting go?
It was a great meeting. You know, we both came together. Really, as we came together as a team, we talked about the whole situation. Coach Norville was very advocate about about helping us come together and move forward. He showed us, he apologized to us. We came up with certain things we're gonna do as a team to help impact the community and make things better around us, and just help change the generation. We all came together to know it's time for change.
Marvin, did you give it a lot of thought when you sent out the tweet that said, it's not exactly what happened? Or did you just react the way you would instinctively as a player?
No, honestly, I had to give it a lot of thought. Doing something like that, I knew the territory that I was stepping on, going out and speaking out like that, especially socially on such a platform like that. I talked with some of my teammates before I had to actually send that tweet out, make sure it was all on the same accord. That was just something huge we had to go, that I was a huge step I was going to take, and we was going to take as a program, and we just all got on one accord. Then I was able to think about it for a couple minutes, then I sent that tweet out.
Marvin, in all fairness, do you think a year ago, and I know this, look, the world's very different. 2 months ago, Marvin, do you think you could have sent a tweet out like that? I mean, do you think, you've played sports, you've been coached. Did you ever feel like you had the power that you have now as a young athlete?
Oh, no, sir, not at all. Honestly, I think most people just expect college football players, just not football players, just athletes in general, just show up and play their sports. Through a time like crisis like now, we need everybody to speak up. Everybody has to be an advocate of what's going on in the world right now with social injustice and oppression. For African Americans, I just feel like more people need to start speaking up and banding together and help fight this cause.
Marvin Wilson, standout defensive tackle for the Florida State Seminoles. He's teamed up with Game Time Prep to create Marvin's Movement, which is to help young kids understand the importance of money, how to manage it, and also to be able to find affordable health care. It's called Marvin's Movement. Marvin, did you see what took place in Stillwater, Oklahoma yesterday, where a player kind of called out his coach concerning his, favorite news channel, if you will? Some are wondering, is that significant? Is that something that is important to the athlete to know their coach's political beliefs or just their beliefs in general? Do you feel that that is something that is now very important in the room?
Honestly, so just knowing that the type of guy you're gonna surround yourself around, you want to be around people that you want to know that care about you more than just being a football player. That care about you as a person and different things like that. So I think it's very important just knowing your coach outside of just the football field and the stadium and things like that. You want to know who he is as a person.
When you look at like Kyrie Irving, who says, I'm not going to play to promote this cause, how important is it to continue to play in order for the platform to be there for you to say the things that you feel you need to say?
I feel like it comes down to the fact that where professional athletes can, at a certain extent, can sit out because they already have, especially like a guy like Kyrie Irving, who is very established, very well off, has a lot of say-so, way bigger platform, guys like that are able to sit out, and really just voice their opinions until they get what they want. But I feel like college athletes are more at a disadvantage, trying to get to that next level and things such of that nature. So I feel like more we have to take more of a route of being able to roll with the punches a little bit, but at the same time voice our opinions on how do we move forward from here to help us still maintain our success on and off the field, but at the same time help change and make a bigger impact.
Marvin, once the season starts, how politically or socially active do you think you and your teammates can be? Like, the anthem is not an issue in college football because you guys are in the locker room when the anthem is played. So I'm trying, those of us that are wondering what type of expression that we're going to see this season on the field, have you given any thought to what it is that you think you can do once the season starts to just kind of remind folks as to what it is you're trying to promote?
Honestly, we really want community involvement is probably one of the hugest thing we could do during the season to help people to vote and just help still support this cause and keep this ball rolling. I think getting out in the community still, giving back, going out with especially like things like this program, team up with different organizations, different community service events, having different guys go out and just help give back. I think that's one of the hugest things we can do as a team and as college athletes during the season because you won't have that much of a necessary platform and different things like that to take a kneel or hold lock on before during the anthem to show it. So I feel like we have to take things outside the field.
When I'm reading the stuff you're doing with money management, that would make a lot of sense to me, Marvin, if you were 3 years in the league and you get that draft money. What brought you to doing this now? I mean, I'm pretty impressed by this because I remember being your age in college, and all I was trying to hope for is that when I put the ATM card in, that there was money in my account so that I could go out that night and buy something to eat. So, what brought the money management on as you're still a college athlete trying to play sports, go to class, figure out what the hell you're doing with life going forward? Why money management? What brought this on? Because I commend it, but I'm just a little surprised trying to think back in my shoes, not being an athlete, just being a college kid. It's a pretty big task that you're undergoing here. What brought this on?
Just during the time when our nation needs positivity to connect with one another, just give a little, to have another effect and change. It was more important for me to do something that would just that'll make a difference. This movement is more than just helping give kids a solid money foundation. It's about giving them knowledge, skills, and to take charge of their lives. Me personally, I was just the same way in college, learning how to I got money, okay, I'm just do whatever I want to until I'm broke, honestly. Just making sure I live paycheck to paycheck. After a while, me saving up a little bit and purchasing my first car on my own, now I have to realize how much more I have to budget my money and build credit, doing the right things on time. It's just some things I never knew I had to do until I actually made that huge move and actually moved off campus. Different things, stuff like that leading me into the real world. It's like I found out all these different things on my own, so quickly and so fast that I never knew I needed to know. And I feel like just giving that back to kids, that was gonna help them get on the right foot, stepping forward. Just letting them know how to build credit, healthcare options, different ways to budget their money. I feel like that's gonna be huge, especially for them going into the real world, whether it's college or just stepping out and getting a job early right out of high school. Different things like that. I feel like it's gonna help them set up apart and give them that first little step into the real world to step forward.
Marvin Wilson, defensive tackle, Florida State, helping to create Marvin's movement. And as Mark alluded to, it's to help young people be able to understand the importance, significance, how to manage your money, but also how to access affordable health care. And I think we could all seek that out no matter how old we are. Marvin, in all seriousness, when you committed to play at Florida State, they were coming off double-digit win seasons. Jimbo had it going. This will be your third head coach now. 4 if you count interim head coaches. It obviously has not gone from a wins and loss standpoint the way you hoped it would when you committed to Florida State. How tough has it been, and how big is this senior year to you?
The senior year is huge to me. Just coming back, trying to make this thing work, knowing it's going to work, though. I feel like it's been great. It's been a great we have to be working together. The team has gotten a lot closer. Things start getting into place how they should be. We're just stacking the good days on top of good days right now. But these last 3.5 years that I've been here, I learned how to face adversity head on. It's not about how you, what happens, about how you react to every situation. I feel like I've grown a lot throughout this whole process here at Florida State, especially just me as a player. Just being able playing in 3 to 4 different defenses since I've been here and learning different terminology. I didn't play anything from a 0 to a 5 technique. It's made plays at almost every 0, from a 0 to a 5. I feel like I've created so much versatility. There's always beauty in every struggle. And I feel like me playing in this system, these different systems that I've been playing, I feel like more NFL rated than most defensive linemen coming out, just because situations that I've been put in, different spots I've been put in, just learn different terminology from each defense that we played in, just learn how to be a better overall player.
And Marvin, we had Jeff Cameron on from Tallahassee Radio last week just talking about the Noles in general and asked him about the team. And he just said, hey, the offense, the line, they've depth issues, these things, but the defense can flat out be great. Not good, great. Do you think that is, what is the goals of the defensive unit? Because between you and a couple other players, you got a D-back coming back that's done big things. I mean, there's some talent on that side of the football. What are the goals for the Florida State defense as you're their leader, obviously?
Well, definitely the goal every year is to be the best defense of college football. You don't play the game just to be second or third. You want to be the best at everything you do. And for us, we want to be the most dominant defense really to ever touch the football next year. And that's how we want to go into the season. How we approach meetings every day, our Zoom meetings. That's how we approach just everything, every workout. That's just the mindset for us as a team. And offensively, I can promise that things are definitely going to be a turnaround. I feel like the mindset, we have James Blackman coming back, great quarterback. We have an offensive line that's working together. Not a lot of nice talent coming in. Running back core that is building, tight ends. I feel like we have everything we need, especially with a lot of strong receivers such as Tamarion Terry, Keyshawn Hilton, Warren J, different guys coming back. That I feel like they're going to really take off. I can't wait to see it. Really can't wait to camp. Everything to come together.
Couple of big early season games, if they happen, West Virginia and Boise State. Marvin, how concerned are you and your teammates about the coronavirus? Do you guys talk about it at all?
Not really since we started back with workouts. We just pray about it every day and give God, moving forward. I feel like we really hope there's going to be a season. We know there's going to be a season. That's the way we're looking at it every day, and we're going to work like it. You can't just live every day off thinking is it going to be a season or is it not. You just got to prepare every day like we're going to have a season. So you have to get ready. You're already ready.
Marvin, congratulations on your last 3 weeks and also creating Marvin's movement here. We hope you're able to help a lot of young kids throughout the state. I know you're trying to get connected to many of the school districts throughout the state. So, Marvin, we wish you all the best. Stay healthy, and hopefully we can talk again.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Marvin.
Marvin Wilson, defensive tackle, Florida State. Marvin's movement is what it's called. You can look it up and get involved if you are so inclined. There are many of us who think that, quite frankly, what he's trying to do should be a class that is taught in high school and early in college, quite frankly. That's real life stuff right there.
I'm impressed because let's be frank. Without being an athlete and the time and effort it takes, and I had a job all through college, I would have never thought in a million years to do a damn thing socially active at that age. Not a damn thing.
Well, and also
this is a top 10 pick. Sorry, this is the top 10 pick.
Right.
Like this is not a fringe player. This guy is a top 10 pick right now.
Right. I was just going to say, Mark, this is a huge year in his life. A huge year. And with a lot of uncertainty, quite frankly, because of the coronavirus. Never mind the fact that he's on a program that's struggling. And as we mentioned, he's playing for his third head coach. And he's got enough going on just from a football standpoint. And the fact that he wants to do something else and help people is something to commend him for. No question about it.
And I don't know, I sensed it with humility, not with vigor, if you know what I mean. He wasn't preaching to anybody. He was just, I want to do something. I want to help. But this kid, I thought is that I'd like to almost, if I had that taped, I'd like to just play the one answer he gave for Pat. Worked with different terminology. I've gone from a 0 to a 5. I mean, yeah. Yep. I mean, I think Pat Kerwin, if he was listening to that, would have been salivating.
And the other answer that struck with me was when we asked, so how important is it for you as a player to know where your coach is coming from and his political views? And he said, it's important to know what he thinks of us personally, whether or not he cares about us at all outside of playing football, which ties into our poll question, which is what took place in Stillwater, Oklahoma yesterday. The star tailback took on Mike Gundy, the head coach, because Gundy photo emerged of him fishing in which he's wearing an OAN shirt. For those that aren't familiar with OAN, it's an alternative news network. It is to the right of Fox. It is steps to the right of Fox. There are many that claim it espouses conspiracy theories and, the coronavirus was a hoax, Black Lives Matters was a hoax. Things like that have been said on that network. And it's Mike Gundy's favorite network. He's proud of it. Has boasted about it. And so when the player saw him in the shirt, Hubbard, the tailback, said, yeah, this is unacceptable. I will not stand for this. It's insensitive to everything going on in society. And so there was about a 4 or 5 hour Twitter feast at Mike Gundy's expense by many a player in his program that was backing the tailback. And so it led to our poll question, which is, if you're a college athlete today, is it important to you to know your coach's political views? Yes or no? At last glance, the vote was close to 50-50, which surprised the two of us.
It's leaning a little more the other way now. About 58%, I believe, is what I just saw it at. But that's
The
still
answer's no.
58% no.
Right. And remember, we do ask you to put yourself in the shoes of the athlete, because we know as fans, you care about winning. We get it. We care about winning. So we know it doesn't matter whether or not, I mean, come on, let's be honest. You think there aren't San Antonio Spurs fans who hate Popovich's politics in Texas? Really? You don't think there are a few San Antonio Spurs? You don't think there are people who sit in the most expensive seats in that arena that don't hate his politics? But they love him as a coach because he's won. He's made the Spurs the Spurs. Well, that and Tim Duncan and a few other guys.
There's been a couple of it.
Right.
But
you know what I mean.
But he's also been incredibly consistent throughout his whole career.
Well, right.
You know who Pop is.
Yeah, he's a NASCAR driver. He makes left-hand turns all day.
Right.
Right. But that doesn't mean, there are season ticket holders that I'm sure
guaranteed in San Antonio, Texas. I'm pretty sure.
But do they want him to be their coach? Yeah. Now they're going to miss the playoffs this year for the first time in 20-something years. Now they'll call for a new coach. So that's our poll question. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Pat Kerwin on the other side. The coronavirus jumped up and said, hey,
remember me?
Remember me? And
I'm back. In fact, I never left.
And reared its ugly head as far as the NFL was concerned. We will talk to Pat Kerwin about the coronavirus and the NFL and the 2020 season and a few other things. Major injury to the Eagles yesterday on their offensive line, and can they find a suitable replacement at this late date? Quite a few things to talk to Pat about. He is next on Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
There are times when we do this.
It is a crazy, crazy day.
Crazy.
There are other times when we do this.
I would never be doing something to make me look stupid. I mean, on purpose.
And then there are times when we do
You see where the Browns reported offered $15 million to Clowney, and apparently the Titans have a deal on the table to Clowney.
Yeah, Titans pushing hard. Saw that.
On Fox Sports Radio.
Hey, y'all, it's Billy Bob, Bubba's brother. And he got that super duper job at that super duper company, and now I can too. Last week I was a dishwasher, but now I is a super duper plumber. Electrician. No, not that. I think I'm an AC man. Yeah, that's it. I can fix them cooler units. And you can call me and it only costs $20. Folks, it's Fred Kobe of Kobe Cooling. And if you want Billy Bob or his brother Bubba to fix your air conditioner or plumbing and electric, they're out there. I've seen these multi-trade morons cause incredible damage.
This
really
commercial.
Sell.
He kind of just went after another one of our clients there.
Oh, yeah.
You want your pool guy doing your dentistry work? You should pay him $20 too.
I mean, he just went Bubba. I mean, he kind of went Daryl and your other brother Daryl. I'm like, whoa, that's a
Nate certified air conditioning mechanic and not Billy Bob the dishwasher. Call Kobe Cooling, license CACO 57313.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Dan Martineau here, owner of D.R. Martineau Roofing of Southwest Florida. I've been repairing and replacing roofs for 27 years. We operate with integrity, knowledge, and service. Google DRM Roofing or call 239-332-1441.
License number CCC 1326954.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Cathedral Roofing Innovations. Now, Hurricane Irma was a long time ago, but believe it or not, problems with tile roofs, they continue to occur as a result. Now, many homeowners are just now feeling the effects of the hidden damage that occurred to their tile roof. Now, whether it's new leaks, cracked, unsecured tiles, these roofs are living on borrowed time. Now, tile roofs, by nature of their design, are susceptible to lift and powerful storms like hurricanes. When this occurs, your tile underlayment can be compromised, but you would not realize it until possibly years later. Now, with Cathedral Roofing Innovations, you get a great roofing company to inspect your roof for any damage. And just because you don't have leaks doesn't mean you don't have issues. Just go to cathedralroofingnaples.com. They are the tile experts in Naples, and they will start the inspection process right away. Just go to cathedralroofingnaples.com. Cathedralroofingnaples.com.
License number CCC 1331928.
Let's face it, these are stressful times. New routines, the constant bombardment of bad news, and trying to keep you and your family safe all the time. It's Frank for Center for Men's Health. During these stressful times, your mood is so critical, and nothing's more important to a guy's mood than testosterone. The single greatest issue for guys with low T is mood, and the single greatest change for men that get low T care is a greatly improved mood. Many are grumpy when they start, and most can't believe how much their mood improves once they get treated. And everything improves once your mood improves. Feel the difference C4MH.com can make in your life. I've been a patient of C4MH.com for a couple of years, and recently I've lost 20 pounds because now I have the energy to work out from home. And that'll put you in a good mood too. C4MH.com's express treatment plan is convenient, affordable, and above all, safe. And with locations all up and down West Florida, there's one near you right now. Find out more. Go to C4MH.com.
This message is sponsored by the Florida A&M University Medical Marijuana Education and Research Initiative, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
Where I'm from, marijuana is legal. Can I use it in Florida? Nah, it's illegal here. 20 grams or less is a misdemeanor, and more than 20 grams is a felony. Well, I have epilepsy. Should I try to get a medical marijuana prescription? Now that's legal, but talk to your doctor first to see if it's a qualifying condition. And
Good morning, Pat. How are you?
I will, thanks.
I saw you call me last Friday, and I had told David I couldn't do Friday. I apologize. I didn't get to you.
Oh, all right. Here we go. No problem.
Back to Miller and Moulton.
All right, now we're getting somewhere.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
"27 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. He joins us throughout the NFL season, heck, even the off season, even when he's out of town. He's Pat Kerwin of CBS's NFL Today Show and Moving the Chains weekday afternoons on NFL Radio. Pat joining us once again, courtesy of Pinchers, from Tampa to Key West and many points in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. How are you this week?
I'm doing fine. You know, there's a never-ending stream of things that have to be covered. And Jim and I are plowing through everyone's receivers and tight end groups, trying to look at them. And so when we go to camp, if we're going to camp at all, know where the battles are and know where you don't have to spend time worrying about this particular guy, but who's the slot receiver, who's the third receiver, who's the fourth receiver, can they get in 12 personnel, all that stuff. So and I love doing it. We've already done the pass rushes. We did the O-line. We're doing the receivers. I think next is a secondary. And it'll take us right to probably July 1st. And then I think I'll have a good sense of everyone's roster.
All right.
And how are they going to do things?
Pat, yesterday was an interesting day from the NFL standpoint because a bunch of positive coronavirus tests were talked about, and one of them is Ezekiel Elliott. And, you know, I listened to Louis Riddick yesterday talk, and he said very matter-of-factly, he said, you know, think what this could do during the season to a position room. What are the NFL coaches talking about when it comes to the coronavirus and what their contingency plans are if all of a sudden 3 running backs come down with it, Pat?
Yeah, well, they're worried about it, but they're also worried about themselves getting it and not being around for 2 weeks of practice, a head coach, an offensive coordinator. So there's always those issues as well. And so it is an issue. You know, I've talked about, and you and I think Mark will agree, I said, you got to go to a 60-man roster, but it may not cover the problem because the problem could be, as you said, 3 nose tackles, you know, 3 offensive linemen. The linemen they're together all the time. And so it could be a positional wipeout, and then you'd have the other problems. So the second thing I would say, and I don't know, I've talked to a couple of coaches about it. I was talking with GM last night about it. He heard what I said on the air, and he called me and he said, Did someone tell you that? I said, no, it's just pretty easy to think through. You need roster exemptions for anyone who tests positive. The problem is there's going to be probably a test on Saturday night. So now all of a sudden you probably have to travel with your whole practice squad and 53 guys. So teams typically don't do that, but you need roster exemptions. So the second Mark and Dave, test positive and they're out for 2 weeks, I got to be able to get a nose tackle and a wide receiver, immediately. And I need a roster exemption. I don't want to put these guys on IR in order to have the roster spot open. It's a 2-week deal. And we've talked about it before with concussions and roster exemptions, and they never went for it. But no one ever thought we'd have 8, and I use the number 8 all the time because Alabama had 5 and then 3 back to back. So Alabama's a good model for what could easily happen in an NFL situation. So you better have roster exemptions. I would love an expanded roster. They are definitely talking about it. And I think the coaches committee, they don't even really have to talk to the league. They just talk to their owners, and the owners can talk to the league. But they got to come up with something in that design. Otherwise, they're going to have a disaster. And they're still going to have disasters because a Saturday night failed test is a disaster. Brady, Gronk, and, anybody else go down. So that's why Arians talked about stashing a quarterback. So I went through every quarterback that's available. We talked about this last week. And who are natural fits in a system that could come in? Jim Miller had to do this, 6 or 7 different teams. But he knew some systems, and that's why he was valuable to those teams. So, if Brady went down or our friend over there, Stafford, went down, they probably called Drew Stanton. People don't want to hear those answers, but those are the kind of guys that he knows that system. If Kansas City, the Jets, or the Redskins goes down, you call Matt Moore. A guy that can walk in there, has played in all those systems, and can handle it with 2 days of practice. That's the reality of where we're going to go with this. But the pro personnel people are going to be working around the clock. And 3 tests a week. Here's the other thing I'll say to you, Mark. I guarantee you, which I can't guarantee, but I'll guarantee you a lot of guys have tested positive. But their agent, if the agent's any good, he's having the guy tested all the time. And when they fail the test and positive, they aren't telling the team. They don't have to tell the team, number one. Number two, they don't have any organized workouts with the team, so they can go home and quarantine for 2 weeks. The player, especially the bubble player, he doesn't want any stigmas going into this season in any way, shape, or form. So I don't think we've even I would be not surprised if 50 guys have already failed the test.
You could argue the other way, that in theory now, because supposedly you can't get it again and the herd mentality and all that, but I understand, Pat, where you are coming from. Would you say that the NFL is spooked, concerned, or this is something they took into account many months ago, what we talked about, Pat? If you're going to go forward, you have to have a clear and obvious plan for what happens when guys test positive, because they are going to test positive. You could argue that yesterday's news is just, well, get ready. That's the kind of year we're going to have.
I think you had to live underground, really, and never come out to think you know anything else but what you just said. It's going to be stressful. It's going to be full of all kinds of issues with failed tests. The league, I'm sure. First off, how much of this has to be negotiated with the union? Is the union even going to let their players in? Let me ask you a question, David. If you were an agent, or you were let's be D. Smith. That's even better. You're D. Smith. You like being GMs. Be D. Smith. The Dallas Cowboys have 7 guys fail the test. Do you think the union is going to say stop operations? Do you think the union is going to pull their players out?
No.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You watched.
Here, okay, well, money. Because if they don't play you asked me, and I contend, first off, if they play without fans, that's $4 billion in lost revenue that's going to affect future caps, number one. If we pull the players, okay, who have a short career, which we've discussed, and limited opportunity to make money, et cetera. No, I mean, if we're Pat,
they will go to court.
me,
First off, as long as they play the opener, the salaries are going to be guaranteed. And as soon as this happens, and they have what the players will describe as an uncontrolled virus running through the building, they'll have anybody who's on a jury, any judge, they'll win their money back. We are going to come back when it's safe. And if 7 guys are getting quarantined, we're going to stop until those guys are done with the quarantine, and then we'll resume again. You watch. First off, if they don't have the right to do that, you watch what they're going to do. The union their job is to protect the player. That is really, in a sense, their job, and the league's job is to put a product on it.
Ultimately, this is an individual choice, though. I mean, the union can say, you're not playing. I mean, because the union has struck before and guys have crossed the line. I mean, Pat, you got certain guys that are going to go, hey, yeah, I get it, but I don't know what to tell you. I'm playing.
Yeah. Just pay attention to all the things that could happen. You touched on the loss of revenue. Do you think the league has to spread out the loss? Which
yes,
a $200 million cap goes to $133 million. The second no one goes to games.
Right. I think they have to.
They have no choice but to spread it out over 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is, because if this is a blip, if this is a one-time thing, and the coronavirus after 2020, no, we don't.
That's why you got to be careful about spreading it out. Because we could have this virus next season. What are you going to keep doing?
Well, here's what I would count on if I'm the league and if I'm the D. Smith, is that we're a $15 billion industry now. We're going to get to $20 billion here real soon. So whatever money we're losing with attendance, and we're going to make it up here in due time. We got television contracts that are going to get renegotiated in a year. We got gambling money that we're just now figuring out how to get involved in the sport. I can make up this revenue, and I can make it up quickly.
Okay, I like that. But you and I, the three of us, talk all fall about empty seats in stadiums when there was no virus. And it was unusually large numbers in strange places like Pittsburgh. So here's what a couple guys said to me. And I said, what's your biggest fear? This is a general manager. He said the other day, my biggest fear is if we don't have fans in the stands, they won't all come back. If you say 100% of the fans can't go to the games, do you think 100% are going to return, or are they a certain percentage are going to go, you know what? It wasn't so bad being at home watching the games. I'm going to save the money and not go. There's a fear that they are not all going to return. What do you think of that?
That's real.
It's a real fear, and it's not just football. There's 40 other businesses that are scared to death about the same exact things. And you're right, Pat, we don't know. But I don't think we have much of a choice than to, like you said, we can't cut the cap by 30%, 40% in 1 year. That just doesn't work. So
it doesn't work for the union. It's going to put a lot of guys out of work. So it's always a negotiating point. The league, there's nothing in their language that says they have to spread it out. So when they want to do something that makes business sense, like you said, so that you know that the best players will still be under contract. They won't be going anywhere. You can get all your great players because most teams have 5 or 6 great players. So the big faces will always be on the roster. But behind those faces will be a bunch of minimum wage guys. So, you want me to spread this out over 3 or 4 years so your guys can all have employment at their present rate. All right, here's what we want for that. That's what's going to happen. They're not going to give that away for free.
Well, but you could also say, which is another reason, by the way, why the players should not have signed the deal. They actually should still be entering the final year of their labor agreement. They'd have more leverage. Now they have none. They're locked in for 11 years. They have no leverage. All right. But D. Smith and company didn't think about this. But going forward, to me, Pat, is that the players can say, hey, we could not play. I mean, if you want to play the heavy, we could play the heavy. We could stay home.
Well, we all know why they can't. Because the next thing they're going to say is, fries with that burger, ma'am? That's what they're going to say next.
Pat,
they have to play.
I know that these sports are largely in a bubble, but they have to pay attention. And based on all the things we're talking about, even though there's labor peace for the next 11 years, there is obviously going to be some contention between the two sides. Do you think they pay any attention at all to the buffoons baseball have made of themselves in the last few days and just make sure we're not going to do that?
Well, Mike, I'll ask you the question back. How would they do that, Mark?
PR standpoint, being on the same side, working together, not in the media. There's a lot of ways that they could do that.
Well, is there a history of that? We've had all kinds of issues that were made public. The negotiations have always been made public. One side will always leak it out if they think there's an advantage to it. So there's no history that we cooperate at that level. David just called the CBA terrible. I know guys that look at that and say, thank God we signed it. You know, where was it going next year? What was that negotiating table going to look like if we took a $4 billion hit? So a lot of guys think that getting my money now, I don't understand why a guy like Clowney didn't sign a deal and get a bunch of money up front right now. So he takes a 1-year deal for whatever that's going to be. What's going to happen to him next year? Even if we spread it out, that didn't say the cap went up. For the first time in the history of the CBA, the cap would be going down. Right? You can't spread it out and go up.
Right. And that would cause big problems because let's face it, as a GM, as you know, Pat, you're looking at this cap and you're counting on darn near 10% every year. And with a cap that's $200 million right now, that's $20 million. And instead of going up 20, if it could go down anywhere from 30 to 60, I mean, that's gut your roster time.
It is going to be gut your roster time. And so anyone that's has a chance to sign a multi-year deal, this is not normal times, Mr. Clowney. I take a 3-year deal somewhere and be happy a year from now that it goes that way. Then here's the other thing. Oh, Texas. They went from 25% capacity. They went up to 50. And now they have this giant spike going on. Someone said to me yesterday, he goes, do you think they could turn back on that promise? I go, of course they can. They didn't write anything down and say you're guaranteed 50% occupancy at the games. So I don't even know where it's going to go. We don't know where the volatility is going to be. But if you had a client, GM David, would you sign him to a 3-year deal now, Clowney, or would you take a 1 and roll up, and cross your fingers for next year?
And Pat, for whatever reason, I had a little internet issue, so I lost David for half a second. Now he's back. But David, did you catch that?
I did.
Okay, now you can go because he asked you the question. I figured I'd let you answer it.
Oh no, I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry.
So the question is, if you repped Clowney, would you sign a 3-year deal now for less money than he wants? We call it $14 million a year, or would you take a 1 and roll the dice next year with the cap problem?
I'm a pass rusher. I think I'd roll the dice because I think I can get $15 million next year no matter what. So I think I'd roll it. But he probably should play it safe, risk of injury, et cetera. To me, I think it's important what team he goes to, though. The difference between Cleveland and Tennessee could be very big here. I think it's important if he's going to roll the dice, he needs to pick the right spot.
All right, Mark. Would you sign him or roll the dice waiting for whatever it is? Remember, a lot of teams have a lot of cap space, and no one has offered them basically $15 million.
First off, I would sign the 3-year deal tomorrow if I was Clowney because, one, I know I'm going to get some sort of signing bonus. From a standpoint of just cash, Pat, I'm going to get more cash in hand right now for my future.
Right.
That's what I'd do.
Yeah, and I think that the clubs know that. And as this thing unveils itself, whatever this year is going to be, hopefully Buzz is, or whoever's repping him, I think Buzz Cook is, that they start talking that way. And if they don't, they don't. It's their choice. But
Pat, let me talk the Eagles for a second because we've talked about there's a surplus of defensive linemen that we're all stunned are still unsigned. I mean, Clowney, Everson Griffin. I mean, there are, the guy from the Giants, Golden Arrow, at double-digit sacks. I mean, it's amazing who's still out there who can be signed. But the Eagles lost a Pro Bowl guard yesterday.
Yeah.
And they've never won a game in the last 3 years in which he hasn't been in the lineup. He missed one game last year. It was the playoff game against the Seahawks. They gave up 7 sacks to a team who can't rush the passer, by the way. I mean, this is a big loss. From an offensive lineman standpoint, who's out there? Because you could replace a defensive lineman if he's working out and blows his Achilles. But what offensive linemen are available?
Not many. You'd have to be thinking about guys. Now, you want to move a tackle in there?
Yeah,
do you want to
sign
move,
Jason Peters and move somebody, right?
Kelvin Beachum, Jason Peters, DeMar Dotson. Those guys can play. Cordy Glenn is out there. Those kind of guys are out there still. It's ironic that there are more tackles than guards of some reputation. So, yeah, but this has been the thing we talked about last week. You have 2,000 players in unsupervised activities, quote unquote, to get in shape and ready for the season. I've talked to a number of guys who train players. Chuck Smith was my most recent one. And as he said to me, he goes, you'd really be shocked at how out of shape they are. And now they're panicking because we might open camp July 15th. So now all of a sudden it's a month away. So guys are working out. You see Lamar hurdling a jet ski? Come on. But if you had supervised OTAs, their contracts would be protected. Now, they're not going to take this kid's money away from him in Philly, but there's going to be plenty of guys that are going to get hurt as they rush to get in shape. And a lot of them are. I interviewed, I don't know, maybe 200 players this spring. First question, where are you working out? What are you doing? Half of them were answering, in my garage. Well, sooner or later, you're going to start running. We talked to linemen. I was talking to Joe Thomas yesterday, kind of concerned about guys, offensive linemen, being in shape. Then you have all these rookie kids that don't know what the hell they're doing, and they've been on a Zoom trying to learn an offense or a defense. Thomas told me he's working with Wills right now, just trying to help him catch up. But you got about 9,000 things in a perfect storm coming together here. And fitness and how many guys are hurt. And I'll tell you another thing. I already said it about the virus. They're not going to report themselves, especially 2 weeks before. Now, if the agent's smart and gets the guy tested the week or the 2 weeks before they have to report and he fails the test, he's holding his breath about bringing him in on time. And maybe he's holding him out for a day or two and saying it's worth the fine. And the fines are gigantic. But the same thing is going to hold true here. If you get tear your Achilles and you got to go to surgery, well, there's no hiding. But the guy who plays special teams, the rookie 7th rounder, he blows up his hamstring trying to sprint. He's going to lay low and try to get into that camp and say he got hurt on the first drill that you gave us. So his contract's available to him. And if you don't think that happens everywhere and has been forever, then you don't know how it is. The guys will do what they have to do to walk through that door and fall down.
He's Pat Kerwin, CBS's NFL Today show. You can hear him weekday afternoons with Jim Miller on Moving the Chains, NFL Radio, Sirius XM Channel 88. Pat joins us, of course, courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and many points in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Pat, as always, appreciate you. Have a great rest of your week. We'll talk soon.
Hey, let's discuss the Ohio State waiver. You don't think that's coming too, do you?
Oh, it's coming.
Yeah. You know what an attorney told me the other day? I love calling up these attorneys, and one of them is very famous in the NFL circles, and he's always against the NFL, but he's represented me once before. You should be able to figure out who it is. He had a big case recently, and I said, what do you think of the waivers? He goes, it ain't worth the paper it's on.
There you go. Pat Kerwin. Thanks, Pat.
See you, boys.
Pat, kind enough to join us once again, courtesy of Pinchers. Lot to chew on there. The good, the bad, and the ugly to wrap things up on what has been a lively Tuesday edition of Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Welcome to the program.
This is the Dan Patrick Show.
The anthem wasn't a big deal. And then all of a sudden it was a showcase because somebody was going to sing it. Or you'd have the flyover, we'd be able to show off the military. I don't remember
Good
when
show
I was
today.
growing up that the
Yep.
anthem was a big deal. Where I'd go, oh, this is a big ceremony here. But that was when I was younger.
Good material.
But now it is a big deal.
Dan Patrick. The Dan Patrick Show. Weekdays at 9 a.m. on Southwest
Had
Florida's
good
Fox
material.
Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
Great news, Southwest Florida. Below invoice employee pricing is back at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Lowest prices ever on over 1,500 new and certified pre-owned vehicles. Loaded, luxurious Grand Cherokee Limited lease, $289 per month. That's right, Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited, $289 per month. 7-passenger Dodge Journey SUV, just $19,990. Plus at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, you can drive payment-free for 3 months or interest-free for 6 years and worry-free up to 100,000 miles. And our parts service and body shop are open to serve you. Below invoice employee pricing at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, 1/2 mile south of Daniels Parkway on US 41 in Fort Myers. Open every day, including Sunday. Call 239-481-2600. GallianaCars.com. 42 month lease, 10,000 miles per year, $19.99 to its signing plus tax, title, dealer, and acquisition fee, 0 security deposit, $13.88 per month per thousand borrowed for 72 months, 0.
Holy Christ, one of the good, bad, and ugly stories he gave me is a guy went on a solitary retreat for 75 days only to return in May with a legendary tweet. Did I miss anything?
Nope. All good.
After 2 days back, Thorson observed people at the grocery store seemed more anxious than I remember. No shit. That's terrific.
Dr. Jonathan France and his expert team of surgeons want to help you see your future in 2020 by providing you with better vision and a better quality of life. But what if you've been told you're not a candidate for LASIK? Call Friends Eye Care anyway, because there are other procedures available that will help you see clearly without the use of glasses or contact lenses. Call now, schedule your free consultation, take advantage of $1,000 off bilateral LASIK special. Financing available. By the way, Moffitt said that I don't need treatments.
Really?
So there and my doctor are going to talk. My guess is what's going to happen is I'm going to get all new scans. And if they're clear, and Moffitt's like, listen, the last scans we have in front of us,
still finding a lot of
you're
roofs
clean.
with hurricane and windstorm damage. Call us today for
You know my philosophies on the people at Moffitt. I
Absolutely.
cannot say enough good things about those folks.
Right. That's why I went to them for the second opinion. So what they're advocating is another round of scans. If those scans are clean, then I'm to just be monitored.
I'd like to tell you that I'm the best
As
AC
they
mechanic in my
basically
company,
concluded,
but
you
I'd
should
be
get
lying
cancer
here.
treatments
I
when you
think
have
my
cancer.
NATE-certified mechanic team
Right
hides
now,
my
we
tools
don't
from
have
me
proof
so I
you
don't
have
hurt
cancer.
myself. You
We have
see,
proof you
I'm
had
the old
cancer.
guy, and I've been doing this
We
work
don't have
since I was a
proof that
kid
you
with my
have
dad.
cancer.
Good.
The younger staff are really the best
So,
mechanics in
okay.
this business, and they've been through years of training and years of testing, with continuing education to keep up to date on the latest
Works for
and
me.
greatest things in the air conditioning world. All companies brag about their experience, and we certainly have that. But we're most proud of our team being on the cutting edge and the leaders in
Haven't had good
technology
news
and
in a while.
application of
No.
the air conditioning equipment. That's why we've been voted best air conditioning company in Southwest Florida year after year in the news press polls. It's not
Hopefully
me.
the scans are
It's the
clean.
best team of NATE-certified mechanics ever assembled. Call 239-482-1542
Because you get yourself conditioned to have
and
treatments,
experience the
and
best.
then all of a sudden they
License
say, hey, maybe you don't need them. Now you start getting
571313.
excited.
This message is sponsored by the Florida A&M University Medical Marijuana Education and Research Initiative, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
Where I'm from, marijuana is legal. Can I use it in Florida? Nah, it's illegal here, man.
Nah.
But I have PTSD. Should I at least try to get medical
That's the
marijuana?
one you want.
That's legal.
Nah.
But if I were you,
That
talk
is
to
a
my doctor
gimme.
about qualifying
Just
conditions
score
and
70 on the
find out if
test.
Medical marijuana is even right for you. Thanks. I'll talk to my doctor.
From the best headlines
The best.
to the worst,
It's the worst thing that ever happened to anybody ever.
prepare yourself and hide the women and children. This is Mark Miller's Good, Bad, and Ugly on Fox Sports Radio. You're live.
For the good, we go to Virginia, where Kelly Pasek is the middle school librarian, and she uses Wing, a drone delivery service, to bring her meals and household goods. And she said, we could use this technology with the kids. So the Montgomery County School District will start delivering books by drones to kids who want them. Thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
For the bad, Well, we go to Largo, Florida, where yesterday at around 5 in the morning, a guy was playing a little frisbee golf, pulled the frisbee into the water. He went waist deep in the water to get his frisbee.
Oh, boy.
That's when an alligator bit him in the face.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was able to pry himself out of the gator's mouth and get out of the water. He was taken to a nearby hospital with face and hand lacerations, but is expected to recover.
Unbelievable. In Florida.
5 in the morning. I need my frisbee.
Idiot.
Finally, the ugly. We go to eBay, where some executives are in some trouble. They're, in fact, facing federal charges because they didn't like a company that was critical in an e-commerce newsletter. So a group of eBay employees started sending the couple disturbing deliveries that included a bloody pig mask, a box of live cockroaches, and a funeral wreath. The employees also sent anonymous threatening messages and traveled to Massachusetts to conduct covert surveillance of the victims.
Come on. Get a grip.
You think?
Now, of course, this is coming from two guys who have gotten many a nasty email and many a negative review, so we can handle it. Come on, guys.
Lighten up, Francis.
Toughen up, Francis.
That is the good, the bad, and the ugly. On today, the 16th of June, in the year that we will always remember as hell, 2020.
March 108th. Yes. Miller and Moulton. Lively show today. Make sure you take part in our poll question. If you're a college athlete these days, is it important to you to know your coach's political leanings? In light of what took place yesterday in Stillwater, Oklahoma, with a bit of a revolt amongst the football team and Mike Gundy's far-right political leanings.
And, well, good show today. If you missed any part of it, particularly the second hour, you can catch the first post-surgery rant from one David Moulton. Go to millerandmoulton.com. Have a great day.
Okay, you guys have a good day. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, Jero. You too.
I don't even have a link for it, Sean. I don't even have a link for it. It's just a paragraph in a service that I